Chapter 106. Yaya was even more furious. Her face flushed red. She pointed her bow at Tang Tian and was about to pounce. Bing's anger finally swallowed his rationality. With a roar, he pounced towards Tang Tian. Unless Tang Tian was deep in thought. The decline of the immortal crown is a disaster for immortal constellation. The other immortal star treasures have also started to drop in quality. Our Shangguan clan's inherited treasure, the immortal green needle, has also started to drop in quality. The power of the entire immortal constellation has dropped rapidly. Everyone in immortal constellation is in a state of panic. 5 years ago, a group of unfathomable villains suddenly barged into the palace with the intention of getting their hands on the immortal crown. They plundered the immortal king, but what they did not expect was that they did not find the immortal crown. In order to save the king, the Shangguan clan suffered greatly and lost almost all of their experts. The entire royal family was massacred in that tragedy. The opponent's viciousness was beyond imagination. The patriarch was worried that Miss would be implicated. That's why 5 years ago, Miss and I ran to Starwind City to avoid the disaster. Tang Tian raised both his arms and admitted honestly, "Sorry, I forgot about you." After the queen passed away, immortal constellation started to decline. Everyone thought that the next few generations of immortal kings were not capable enough. Each generation was worse than the previous. However, very few people knew that this was related to the immortal crown. After the queen passed away, the immortal crown's martial spirit became weaker for some reason. 100 years ago, the immortal crown actually became a silver treasure. And 30 years ago, the famous immortal crown became a bronze treasure. Tang Tian enunciated each word clearly and mocked. The chief military officer of the army. Tang Tian felt a pain in his heart. Chia would never write about such things when she wrote to him. She would only say that she was doing well and had many interesting things to do. He did not expect that. Tang Tian was instantly disappointed. He said unhappily, "You don't know this, you don't know that." "Then what do you know, uncle?" Along the way, the disciples of the Shangguan clan all wore respectful expressions. Tang Tian's valiance and the earth-shattering battle had given them a great shock and impact. After Chia Shangguan's management for the past 2 years, the Shangguan family was very united. Everyone was secretly guessing that the Perseus crown had been found, and it was recovering. Uncle Qian immediately felt a little helpless. It just so happened that Miss went to the ruins of the palace during that time. So there has been a rumor that Miss has obtained the immortal crown. Tang Tian did not show any signs of weakness. He widened his eyes, and his tone became even more sarcastic. "Hey, uncle, don't be a coward. Aren't you the chief instructor of the army? Don't tell me this title is self-proclaimed." Immortal King's whereabouts are unknown, and immortal constellation has also started to become chaotic. The relationship between us and House Yu began to deteriorate, and following the decline of the immortal constellation star treasures, the youths with a future in immortal constellation all went to the more prosperous constellations. Immortal constellation mountain's power is now extremely weak. Shanghai Wei could not help but say, "Son-in-law, this. Don't think that I will fall for such a cliché and despicable method." Bing clenched his teeth and said coldly, "Wow, the house here is so big." Uncle Qian sighed softly. "This is a long story. We have to start from the origin of immortal constellation." Tang Tian did not retreat either and counterattacked. The two of them immediately felt ashamed. Son-in-law was right. Seeing Yaya, Tang Tian smacked his head. How could he forget about Bing? For such a matter, Uncle Bing should have a way. "Uncle Qian, what exactly is going on?" Sitting down, Tang Tian decided to clarify. "So, in order to increase your power, I have decided to impart my cultivation method to you," Tang Tian said solemnly. Yaya jumped onto the table, her hands on her waist, gritted her teeth, her cheeks puffed up high, and stared at Tang Tian with extreme dissatisfaction. Then, she raised her bow, separated from Tang Tian by a distance, and slashed randomly, her mouth letting out a series of squeaks. Yaya's body froze. Her eyes suddenly emitted light. Her flushed face, the anger disappeared without a trace. Tang Tian flicked his finger, and the spirit nucleus drew a beautiful arc in the air. Play by yourself. I don't know if Miss got it. Uncle Qian laughed bitterly. But Miss has been very strong these few years. This rumor has become more and more real. So many people think that Miss will definitely revive Immortal Constellation Mountain. So all along, there have been many families that have come to us. The Yu clan's reaction is obvious. They have always been plotting in the dark. It's just that Miss is very strong. Whoever challenges Miss, all return in defeat. Sigh, these 2 years, Shangwan clan has been supported by Miss alone. Uncle Qian brought Tang Tian around, and then found a place to sit down. This guy is really ruthless. Shanghai Wei and Shangwan Zhu were speechless. They had a deeper and more direct feeling of the frailty of Immortal Constellation Mountain. Shanghai Wei and Shangwan Zhu were also excited. The Immortal Crown was the strongest treasure of Immortal Constellation Mountain. If Miss got it, Tang Tian clenched his teeth and said unclearly, "Last night, I accidentally got it while cultivating." Seeing the two's fanatical faces, Tang Tian coughed lightly and said seriously, "Last night, I thought about it. Shangwan clan cannot just rely on Qie alone. The other disciples of Shangwan clan have to be more useful. Training." Uncle Bing spread his hands and said irresponsibly, "I am the chief military officer of the army. As long as I know how to train the soldiers, that is enough." Hearing the last sentence, Bing's hair stood up and his smile froze on his face. "Rascal, you better take back your last sentence." The two of them wrestled into a ball. Seeing that, Tang Tian did not say anything, and a spirit nucleus appeared in his hand. Shanghai Wei and Shangwan Zhu were in awe. As expected of his son-in-law, even during his daily training, he was so desperate. No wonder son-in-law was so powerful. Shanghai Qian accompanied Tang Tian with a face full of smiles. Shanghai Wei and Shangwan Zhu, who were following behind Tang Tian, heard Tang Tian's exclamations from time to time, and the smile on their faces became wider, and they felt even more intimate. "Wah wah wah. I like this, it's a high-class training ground." Bing's thick eyebrows trembled violently, and said coldly, "Don't try to provoke me." Tang Tian then realized, no wonder Qie came to Starwind City. Qie got the Immortal Crown? Tang Tian was excited. That's great. Shanghai Wei was so excited that his lips were trembling, and after a while, he calmed down and said resolutely, "Don't worry, son-in-law. Whoever dares to disobey son-in-law's orders, I will not forgive him." Son-in-law is indeed a maverick person. Son-in-law is indeed a pure child's heart. Son-in-law is indeed a straightforward person. All the heavy responsibilities of the Shangwan family all fell on Qie's shoulders. Tang Tian righteously waved his hand. "All right, don't talk nonsense. I am also doing this for Qie to have an easier time in the future. Go and gather all the disciples at the training ground. But I will say the ugly words first. During the entire training process, everyone has to listen to my orders." 2 years ago, Tang Tian was stunned and subconsciously said, when Qie came back, no matter how the two looked at it, they felt that Tang Tian was a good person. These people this time is very likely they're the people from 5 years ago. Uncle Qian's expression was solemn. Mrs. Long suspected, 5 years ago, the Yu clan already colluded with them. If it is really those people, they're definitely here for the Immortal Crown. Yaya bounced on the table, hugged the spirit nucleus in midair, and then ran around the house happily. Looking at the back view of the two running, Tang Tian touched his bruised face and immediately twitched. It was so painful that he sucked in a cold breath. When Tang Tian heard this, he retorted sarcastically, "Uncle, can you do it? I ask you this, ask you that you don't know, ask you that you don't know. Now there's finally someone who knows. You keep picking this and that. If you can't do it, just say it. And you are even the chief military instructor of the army." "Huh." Bing's face revealed a mocking expression. "Stop daydreaming. With the standard of the Shangwan clan, even if they train, they will only be a pile of cannon fodder. When Tang Tian walked out of the room, Shanghai Wei and Shangguan Zhu saw Tang Tian's bruised face and were instantly shocked. Shangguan Zhu even roared fiercely, "If he doesn't listen to the son-in-law, I will strangle him to death." That's right. Uncle Qian's face revealed a hint of excitement. 2 years ago, suddenly there were many immortal treasures martial spirits that started to become stronger. Although the extent of this change is not big, it is undoubtedly real. Early the next morning, Tang Tian took a deep breath, loosened his fist, raised his face, and revealed a bright smile. But his eyes were like a ball of fire burning. "Uncle Qian, don't worry. If these people dare to come, I will definitely beat them up until they look for their teeth on the floor." Such domineering words, coming out of young Master Tian's mouth, made Uncle Qian absent-minded. Young Master Tian, as expected, was different from before. Yaya's eyes lit up. She was excitedly babbling at the side. Her small face was full of excitement. From time to time, she waved a little bow in her hand, cheering for both parties. His fists unconsciously clenched. The first-generation Immortal Queen discovered and developed Immortal Constellation. The Shangguan clan head at that time, Shangguan Hong, was the Queen's most trusted subordinate. Our ancestors followed the Queen to establish the current Immortal Constellation, and the Yu clan head at that time was also an important minister of the Queen. Immortal Constellation at that time, although it was not one of the strongest constellations, it was strong and outsiders did not dare to look down on it. The Queen's strength was unfathomable. Immortal Constellation's strongest treasure, the Immortal Crown, was also in the Queen's hands. Trained troops. Tang Tian was stunned. Suddenly his eyes lit up. "Then why don't we help Xie train his troops?" "Ha! I am indeed too smart. Yes, train Shanghai Wei and Shangguan Zhu well. Raise the Shangguan clan's strength. When Xie returns, he will definitely be surprised." Tang Tian was stunned, but did not say a word, and listened patiently. And Shanghai Wei and Shangguan Zhu, who were at the side, were also surprised and curious. They knew a little about the grievances with the Yu clan, but they did not think that it could actually be traced back to such a distant era. Shanghai Wei and Shangguan Zhu were both ashamed. In today's battle, if not for son-in-law, then the blow to the Shangguan clan could be imagined. Uncle Qian's words were not the least bit exaggerated. "Son-in-law, you..." Shangguan Zhu could not help but ask. After listening to Tang Tian, Uncle Bing shook his head. "Such a complicated matter, I do not know how. In the army back then, the things that used brains were done by the leader, Aja, those people with dark hearts." Tang Tian was dumbstruck. It was the first time he heard there was actually a Star Treasures grade that could drop. Shangguan Wei and Shangguan Zhu's faces were also filled with disbelief. This was the first time they had heard of such a secret. The two of them glared at each other, like fighting cocks, not backing down. Suddenly, his face revealed a weird expression. With a thought, a little rascal jumped out from the Aquarius Marshal cabinet. On the contrary, Shanghai Wei and Shangguan Zhu, upon hearing this, their eyes immediately lit up and looked at Tang Tian with a look of worship. This situation, until 2 years ago, quietly changed. Uncle Qian's eyes flashed a hint of excitement. The two of them raised their heads, a face of disbelief. Son-in-law was domineering, the chief instructor of the army. Tang Tian opened his eyes wide and said. Back in his room, Tang Tian fell into deep thought. Xie was not around. The Shangguan clan did not seem to be in a good situation. He had to think of a way. Chapter 107. No one was lazy. Everyone started to train quietly. Was it impossible to do it 3,000 times? As long as they trained like son-in-law, they could do it. It was their first time seeing such a perfect concussion punch. The disciples who mainly trained in concussion punch were all infatuated. Concussion punch was not some unorthodox fist technique. Many disciples knew of it, but Tang Tian's concussion punch was very different for what they knew. Bing looked at the disciples who were training in the field. His eyes flashed a look of satisfaction. Sima Xiangshan choked. Tang Tian's cold and emotionless words made everyone shiver. Even Shangguan Wei and Shangguan Zhu swallowed hard. Son-in-law was too cold. No wonder son-in-law was so powerful. Tang Tian ignored the gazes that floated over, but his tone became cold. What? Who has a different opinion? The discussions became much softer, and the gazes they gave Tang Tian had an additional trace of respect. Amari was puzzled. Why are you so obedient? Even the powerful son-in-law was so hard-working, so risking his life. What reason did they have to be lazy? What reason did they have to retreat? The three of them turned to look at Sima Xiangshan. Sima Xiangshan choked again. Quantitative change would always lead to qualitative change. In every disciple's eyes, there was something like a flame that quickly rose. Yu Ming Qiu, such a ferocious person, was able to take care of all Wei and Baju. But in front of son-in-law, it was not enough. Go! Han Bingming replied very straightforwardly. The crowd was in an uproar. Many people's gazes became distrustful. They felt that Tang Tian was completely messing around. 3,000 times, he was really bragging too much. Then I will continue training. Tang Tian threw out a sentence and immersed himself in training. Shanghai Wei quivered. He immediately stood up and shouted, "What are you all standing there for? Start training." Tang Tian's first order was for them to start using the martial skills they were familiar with. Originally, they were still muttering in their hearts. Could this be the so-called cultivation method of the son-in-law? All the disciples were shocked by this scene. Tang Tian's concussion punch was not bad, but he had yet to comprehend a killer move. Although it was not like before where he could comprehend a killer move by practicing a few punches, Tang Tian's cultivation still continued the same train of thought. Today's training task is very simple. Practice the martial skill you're most familiar with 3,000 times. Perfect. It was a perfect concussion punch. At this point, no one made a sound. Sima Xiangshan faintly said, "Chia, Shanghai is not here, so I will accompany Tang Tian to have some fun. I'm really looking forward to it." I never thought that Tang Tian would actually grow to such a powerful extent. 2 hours later, Tang Tian still did not stop. It could be seen that he had used up a lot of his energy, and he was drenched in sweat. After an hour, everyone was too tired, and many of them fell to the ground. This thought flashed through everyone's mind at the same time. Once he entered the state of cultivation, Tang Tian was completely oblivious to everything else. The disciples below had always been secretly paying attention to Tang Tian. Seeing that Tang Tian was actually cultivating with them, they were even more curious and could not help but sneak a peek. Amari had a strange face and said, "You actually did not think of it. So strange. Fundamental Tang is a godlike young man. It was normal for him to become stronger. But I, Amari, have also become very strong. I really want to quickly see Fundamental Tang and have a good fight with him. Let's see whose improvement is greater." Uncle Chien was also alarmed. He immediately put down what he was doing and rushed over. He knew better than anyone else how precious the method that Tang Tian had imparted was. 2 years ago, Tang Tian was a retainer who was still cultivating fundamental martial techniques. But now, Tang Tian had already become a strong martial artist who could defeat Yu Ming Qiu. Without saying a word, he picked up the disciple, bang, and forcefully smashed him into the limestone tiles. They usually cultivated, and many of them boasted that they were hardworking. But seeing how Tang Tian cultivated, they received a huge shock. It was the first time they saw someone cultivating like his life depended on it. That's right, it was his life depended on it. Compared to Tang Tian, their cultivation, Tang Tian, who was on the stage, still did not have any signs of stopping. Suddenly, Bing was filled with curiosity towards Jie Shangwan. From the soldiers below, he could see the standard of the general. Although Jie Shangwan did not know how to train soldiers, but he could see that these young men, to their young patriarch, sincerely loved and respected him. Seeing that Sima Xiangshan was defeated again and again, Han Bingming and Liang Xiu's eyes revealed a smile. At the training grounds, all the Shangwan disciples were gathered, and it was dead silent. They looked curiously at the young man with a swollen face on the stage. Was this the rumored son-in-law? To be able to cultivate concussion fist to this stage, you must have put in a lot of effort. A mournful scream, and the disciple fainted. 5 hours later, Tang Tian was so tired that he was on the verge of collapse. He strenuously sat cross-legged and began to meditate. Tang Tian, who had entered the state of cultivation, immediately threw all other matters to the back of his mind. He could save a lot of time and effort. Tang Tian glanced around. Seeing that no one was slacking off, he began to cultivate by himself. Although these people's strength was terrible, but they had a fighting spirit. Bing could accept newcomers who were not strong enough, but he hated those who lacked fighting spirit. Without waiting for the disciple to explain, Tang Tian grabbed him and laughed sinisterly. Now you want to slack off? You must be tired of living. Tang Tian was immediately embarrassed. The two of them fought, although Bing agreed. But he also mentioned that all the problems regarding cultivation had to be listened to. Just as he finished speaking, he heard Tang Tian's voice. The two of you have a mission of 5,000 repetitions. In terms of levels, there were many people who were the same level as Tang Tian. But in terms of fighting strength, none of them were his match. Bring a bucket of water, wake him up, and continue training. I'm going too. I'm looking forward to meeting Fundamental Tang. Liang Qiu laughed. If I say it's okay, then it's okay. Bing said without any politeness. Take note, young man. You have no right to question. Tang Tian's figure leaped up, and with one jump, he appeared in front of the disciple. I'm going to find Fundamental Tang. Are you guys coming? A Maori raised his hand. Actually, Tang Tian felt that these disciples were quite strong. Most of them were 4th level and above, had solid foundations, and were young. It could be seen that when Xie was choosing these people, he had put in a lot of thought. Suddenly, Tang Tian's gaze congealed. He saw some people slacking in the crowd. He was secretly happy. Just as he was about to warn the others, the chicken was sent over. Almost everyone knew son-in-law's strength was unfathomable. Luckily, there was Tang Tian, this abnormal person, around. The others could not help but be motivated. Han Bingming said coldly, "This rascal has always been so vile." Tang Tian's words caused an uproar below. Training 3,000 times a day. How was that possible? Absolutely impossible. Most of their standards were 4th level martial techniques. Don't talk about 3,000 times. To be able to train 700 to 800 times a day was already extremely powerful. Everyone was resting while discussing softly. Everyone's training immediately became serious. As for completing 3,000 times, they still felt that it was completely impossible. Their thinking was very simple. Anyway, they just had to train like this. When no one could complete it, would son-in-law beat everyone up? Shangwan Wei and Shangwan Zhu were even more ashamed. Sima Xiangshan's face twitched. He squeezed out a sentence from his teeth. Let's go. Looking at these youths who were full of vigor, Bing felt that Xie Shangwan was really not simple. So when they heard that son-in-law was going to personally guide them in training, all the disciples were roused. They fought to be the first. Everyone's faces were filled with anticipation. Since it was so, it was better to settle it earlier. Many were even fantasizing. If Miss and son-in-law were to work together, then who in a mortal constellation would be their opponent? Actually, Uncle Qian was worried for nothing. The battle where Tang Tian defeated Yu Ming Xiao, who knew how many Shangwan disciples witnessed it. In one night, this soul-stirring battle had long spread among the Shangwan disciples. Son-in-law's physical strength is really valiant. Tang Tian's expression was focused, fist after fist, meticulous. The reason why Bing agreed was not only because he was provoked, there was another reason. He wanted to help Tang Tian solve his worries. Tang Tian and Xie Shangwan ultimately had to walk on the Heaven's Road, walking on an unknown journey. If the Shangwan clan did not have enough strength to protect themselves, the two of them would definitely not be able to leave with peace of mind. Tang Tian's true power recovered. He opened his eyes, looked at the bustling training scene, and was satisfied. But after a few glances, he could not help but ask, "Bing, is this really okay?" After 3 hours, Tang Tian was still persevering. Under his feet, there was a puddle of water that was formed by the continuous dripping of sweat. Every fist of his was not the least bit sloppy. His gaze was so focused that nothing else could be seen. Hearing this, a Maori turned his head in astonishment. You didn't think of that? Tang Tian saw that there were people slacking and immediately sneered. 3,000 times, no matter if you're willing or not, whoever misses one round will continue training here, training until you are done. Those who intentionally want to muddle through, those who want to slack, first ask my fists. Shanghai Wei staggered, while Shangwanzhu was very straightforward and started. 3,000 times? Isn't that a joke? I never thought that Tang Tian would create such a huge commotion when he just arrived. Liang Qiu leisurely raised his cup and took a sip. It's a pity that Miss Chie is out. It's really unfortunate. Tang Tian did not mind. I'm waiting for you to turn trash into treasure. Godlike uncle, there's nothing better than this to defend your chief instructor's glory. A bunch of trash. Bing glanced at them and said mercilessly. Tang Tan ignored everyone and lifted the unconscious disciple. His control of his strength was extremely good. It looked like he was going to take someone's life, but it only made the other party faint and feel pain, but not injured. The minister said, "We can't casually walk around." Sima Xiangshan poured cold water on him. Uncle Qian was worried that there would be people who did not know what was good for them, and personally gave an extremely strict order. In order to carry out his ideas, the Shangwan clan was almost completely cleaned up by Chie Shangwan for the past 2 years. The current Shangwan clan, although their power was still weak, but they showed a kind of vigorous vitality. Chapter 108. Unless this perverted fellow was always as perverted as before. If it was anyone else who said this, they would definitely pick up a brick and smash that person's head open to see if there was any paste inside. But the person who said it was Tang Tian, they did not know what to say. Liang Qiu muttered, "Since we are all from Star Wind City, if we are in the same powerhouse, we can take care of each other." Out of everyone's expectations, Han Bingning suddenly said coldly, "I will join too." On the outer layer of his fist, there was suddenly a transparent ball of light the size of coconut. It was as though the thin layer of window paper was gently poked through. The beautiful scenery outside, in that moment, could be seen. A look of admiration flashed past Liang Qiu's eyes, and he praised. As expected of Fundamental Tang, Vacuum Jolt, as the killing technique of Concussion Fist, its power is extremely strong. Since you have gained enlightenment on it, why not when you are at the 6th level, train in Vacuum Punch? It will definitely yield twice the result with half the effort. Hearing a Maori's incessant chatter, Tang Tian's heart felt an indescribable warmth. A Maori's temperament was magnanimous and simple, just that he was a bit talkative. Everyone's face changed. Their footsteps involuntarily stopped, as though they were struck by a spell. An indescribable emotion pervaded Tang Tian's heart. In the past, every punch of Tang Tian's from Concussion Fist would bring forth countless of fine ripples. These fine ripples were caused by the vibrations in the air caused by true power. These ripples had a strong destructive power and could easily shatter rocks. Until Tang Tian appeared, he was obviously only at the 5th level, but he displayed a power that far exceeded the 5th level. But before today, many people thought that son-in-law could be so strong, was borrowing the power of the armor. But when they realized that the seemingly perfect Concussion Fist son-in-law actually spent a large amount of time and continuously continued to train, Liang Qiu smiled and asked with interest, "Tang Tian, what you did just now, was that Vacuum Jolt? How is that possible?" When the two of them let go, Tang Tian's face turned into a mocking expression. Everyone's faces were still filled with shock. Only a Maori laughed out loud, stepped forward and gave him a bear hug, loudly said, "Fundamental Tang, long time no see. Aya, you really surprised me now. You're getting more and more powerful. Originally, I wanted to fight with you, but after seeing your punch, I don't have the energy. Young man, I'll leave the task of saving the world to you." Fundamental Tang. Tang Tian practiced tirelessly. Nowadays, the trend was to judge based on one's level. The higher one's level was better than the lower one. Everyone's goal was to break through to a higher realm. With regard to martial techniques, very few people would put in the effort to train them to a perfect state. No matter how perfect a low-level martial technique was, it would not be as strong as a high-level martial technique. A Maori and his party found the Shangwan family and revealed their identities. Coincidentally, the one who received them was Uncle Chien. When Uncle Chien heard that these young people were all from Starwind City and were looking for the young Master Tian, he immediately brought them in. Hearing that, Tang Tian laughed bitterly and told them about his situation. Other than killing Kong Yulin, he did not hide the fact that he had joined Jing Hao's faction. The light ball only lasted for a second before it shattered, and the sound of the explosion resonated throughout the entire field. Tang Tian retracted his gaze and said to the rest with a face of sympathy, "This guy was with you guys, but you guys did not kill him. You guys are too kind." Han Bingning's hand touched the hilt of his sword. His eyebrows drooped, and cold chi permeated everywhere. "You're saying I'm a 10,000-year ice mountain? 5th level true power, activating a 4th level fist technique." He felt something different from before. This difference was extremely minute, and Tang Tian only noticed it today. That was a vacuum, a soundless punch without any energy. The three's gazes landed on Sima Xiangshan. Everyone only felt a blur in front of them, and Tang Tian had rushed in front of them. Han Bingning and the rest felt a chill in their hearts. The wind from the fist gradually disappeared. But now, Tang Tian's concussion fist, the ripples of the concussion were getting lesser and lesser, and the wind from the fist was also quickly disappearing. Tang Tian's concussion fist was getting less and less powerful and looked like an ordinary punch. But in reality, this meant that Tang Tian's energy was getting more and more concentrated, and the energy did not leak out at all. Fundamental Tang, you have to understand a lively martial man who has been holding back for so long. They are too boring. One is a 10,000-year ice mountain, one is sinister, and the last one is actually a vegetarian. Can you understand that in this world, there are actually creatures that are vegetarian? And this creature is actually Big Brother Liang Xiao. Oh my God, my idol is broken just like that. Of course, don't worry. This will not stop a lively martial man's determination to create his own path of martial arts. Training, in the end, was a process of grinding, and the higher the realm, the more effort was required. Tang Tian knew that Liang Xiao was giving him pointers, and he said gratefully, "Thank you, Big Brother Liang." Tang Tian said honestly, "I intend to train every type of martial technique to perfection, and it would be best if I can comprehend a killing technique. The more concentrated the energy of the fist, the stronger the power." Everyone was stunned. The 5th level true power was even more surging, regardless if it was the heavenly dragon energy or the crane body energy. With just a thought from Tang Tian, the energy contained in the true power would burst forth, and the explosive power would be even more astonishing. Tang Tian turned his head and asked in surprise, "Lively martial man, did you name it yourself?" A Maori's incessant chatter immediately attracted the dissatisfaction of the others. "This is concussion." Tang Tian nodded his head. "Yes, I also just comprehended it." The air in the entire training grounds seemed to be moved by an invisible hand, and suddenly surged towards the broken transparent ball of light. As if there was a silent sigh, it floated past his heart. A Maori suddenly became proud. "Ha, of course, such a unique name. Only a passionate and lively martial man can think of it." His eyes were thoughtful. But when Tang Tian's fist wind disappeared, everyone was shocked. Every punch of Tang Tian obviously did not make any sound, but there was an indescribable sense of danger. Everyone's state of mind was involuntarily attracted to Tang Tian's fists and could not move their eyes as if it contained some kind of magic. They stared blankly and completely forgot to train. The huge training grounds, unknowingly, became quiet. So fast. Concussion fist was obviously a rank 4 martial technique. It was obviously a rank 4 martial technique. No one would have thought that it was actually a Maori who was the first to recover from the shock. He shook his head and shouted, Let's not fight anymore. Let's not fight anymore. How can we fight anymore? Perverted Tang is too perverted. Will this guy die if he doesn't comprehend the killing technique? Vacuum Quake was just a legend. They had never seen anyone master it before, but today it was displayed in front of their eyes. This kind of impact and shock was strong, even if they were all mentally strong people. In that moment, their minds were still blank. Only then did the others wake up. Rank was everything. This was what many people thought. Before this, Shanghai Wei and the rest also thought the same. When they rushed to the training grounds, they just happened to see Tang Tian's transparent ball of light. Only Tang Tian's fist after fist, completely forgetting himself. Tang Tian bellowed. With a few leaps, he appeared in front of everyone. Everyone understood the logic, but very few people could do it. The current martial techniques were passed down through spirit cards. Easy to learn, but hard to master. Gold-grade spirit cards were expensive, and not everyone could afford to buy them. And silver-grade and bronze-grade spirit cards, the comprehension contained within them was not complete. Also, the so-called comprehension differed from person to person. It might not be suitable for him, like the martial artist and spirit cards not being compatible. It happened frequently. Tang Tian, how are you doing in the outer barracks? Han Bingming suddenly raised his head and asked. Countless of energy shot out. Tang Tian's body was as imposing as a mountain, not moving an inch. Housefly Cow, you're still so long-winded. The concussion fist in Tang Tian's hands started to change slowly. Humph, it's just Vacuum Quake, young man Tang. Your realm is already at the 5th level. Why are you still training in a 4th level fist technique? Sima Xiangshan said faintly. His triangular eyes were like a snake's eyes, flickering with an ominous glint. Tang Tian's senses were already abnormally sharp. Continuously training the fists, those hard-to-notice details gradually surfaced. Housefly Cow, the 5th level true powers upgrade was all-round, regardless of strength or finesse. Compared to the 4th level true power, there was a qualitative leap. Some of the finer details of the concussion fist, under the 5th level true power, became even clearer. The true power in his body was boiling. Tang Tian felt extremely comfortable, one punch after another, following his heart's desire. Every little detail was like flowing water, gliding past his heart. It was extremely wonderful. Tang Tian's heart was warm, but he knew it was not that easy. After thinking for a while, he said, Don't be anxious. Don't leak the news. I'll ask Big Bro Jing how first. That punch actually caused the air to be annihilated, forming a vacuum ball. If you have the time, you should train more true power. High-level martial techniques are the way of the king. Amari immediately shut up. He had long forgotten to supervise others' training, and also forgot that this was Chie's house. The current him only had his own martial techniques, only his fists. He suddenly roared, his true power boiling. A crane's cry sounded out, a dragon's roar sounded out. The boiling true power suddenly gushed out. Tang Tian did not think, and punched out. Everyone was surprised. They originally thought that Tang Tian would definitely be valued by Kong Yulin. They did not expect him to be exiled. Shangguan Zhu and the rest, who personally witnessed the change, were extremely shocked. Although the Shangguan family had declined in the past few years, but their inheritance was still there. Although the disciples were weak, their eyesight was not bad. Amari, I want to join your faction too. Amari raised his hand. As expected, a fundamental Tang. Amari clapped his hands. His eyes lit up. He was extremely excited. Only a godlike young lad would have such courage. A lively martial man also wants to learn from a godlike young lad. Oh, just thinking about it makes me excited. What a world filled with fighting spirit. Tang Tian had also come out from his state. Coincidentally hearing Amari's voice, he was startled, turned his head to look. Seeing Amari and the rest, he was immediately overjoyed. They had heard before that when Concussion Fist was trained to the peak, it could shatter the air, forming a partial vacuum. That was the famous vacuum quake. Sima Xiangshan waved his hand. I'm fine with anything. Amari was such a stubborn person. Tang Tian was not surprised, but Han Bingning actually joined in. Tang Tian was surprised. Chapter 109. Amari and his entourage stayed for a while before they left. Before they left the address of the inn they were staying at. Amari and his entourage were newcomers and did not have the honorable martial plate. When they found out that Tang Tian was already a bronze-ranked martial artist, everyone could not help but stare with their eyes wide open, their faces lifeless. Even when young Miss was around, these brats did not work so hard. Only then did their expressions soften. These little rascals, they really changed a lot. Every Shangwan disciple was deeply shocked. How's you? Yeah, I didn't expect that little rascal to be able to persevere. In the past, whenever he trained, he would complain incessantly. From fist techniques to finger techniques, light body techniques, leg techniques, palm techniques. There's a saying in the Shangwan family, young Master Tian said, sweat does not lie. It's not too late now. As long as they can persevere, they will definitely be successful. Yu Mingwei did not say a word. Young Miss and young Master Tian were two completely different types. Young Miss's talent was extremely high, her intellect unparalleled. She was flawless. Everyone worshipped her, obeyed her, but it was hard to draw strength from her. Young Miss was too perfect, so perfect that it made people distance themselves. Yu Mingwei's expression softened, his heart calmed down, and he hurriedly said, "That's good. That's good." Hearing that, Yu Mingwei's expression changed. Even his voice changed. Light, honorable martial alliance? They were all youths. Their bodies were filled with hot blood. Their self-esteem had not been extinguished. The figure that did not know fatigue in the martial arts arena was constantly motivating them. Every time they wanted to give up, their eyes would always look for that figure. These few days, there were few strangers in the Yu family. Their origins had not been investigated. Uncle Qian was quite happy. He could see that these people were quite strong. If young Master Tian encountered any trouble, he would not be alone and helpless. Yu Qingzai's handsome face was gloomy. His eyes flashed with hatred. He said coldly, "Jie Shangwan has many pursuers from different clans and races. As long as we slightly incite them, they will definitely gather together and find trouble with Tang Tian. We only need to plant some spies in the dark to fan the flames. I'm afraid the Shangwan family will he." Uncle Qian felt relieved when he saw the young people sweating profusely. The cold voice was like a venomous snake in the dark. Yu Mingwei suppressed the worry in his heart and pretended to be calm. "Actually, it's nothing. Don't rush to the front. Don't stand out. Hide in the shadows. And try to pull more people, especially the young masters of the other families. It's best if the two sides have a conflict. I'll see how the Shangwan family will deal with it then." He never thought that he would actually be involved with the Honorable Martial Alliance. Such a huge power. Not to mention the Yu clan, even the entire immortal Constellation Mountain, would not be able to contend against such a huge power. Aoi Yuzawa's eyes flashed with a fierce glint. His fighting spirit was high. If it was Jie Shangwan, he would still have some restraining fear, but an ignorant fool was destined to become his stepping stone. A tall person stared at him, his expression displeased as he interrupted Aoi Yuzawa's words. "Don't tell me young Master Zai Qing is not willing." Yu Qingzai was Yu Mingwei's son. He and Jie Shangwan were in the same school. Before Jie Shangwan returned, he was the most dazzling person in the entire school, the leader of the entire school. With a single call, hundreds would respond. But when Jie Shangwan came, he was forgotten. The strong contrast made him bear a grudge in his heart. All along, he had been secretly thinking of ways to deal with Jie Shangwan. The pride of the youths made them quiet down. Aoi Yuzawa also regained his senses. He was originally not stupid. After pondering for a while, he felt that no matter what, the Shangwan clan and Tang Tian had no chance of winning. This matter looked dangerous, but it was actually not as bad as imagined. The Shangwan clan was naturally not afraid to deal with the Yu clan, but if they incurred the wrath of the masses, even if Jie Shangwan was here, there was nothing he could do. Respectfully send off the two masters. Yu Mingwei bowed respectfully to send them off. Sweat, everyone had it. He knew that these two people were cold and merciless, killing people like flies With one look, he knew that the two of them already had the intention to kill. Looking at his son's ashen face, he knew that he could not reject. He clenched his teeth, braced himself, and said, "My son is afraid that he is not capable enough, and is afraid of delaying the two masters' plans. Since the two masters trust me so much, even if I have to go through water and tread on fire, I will not hesitate." His age was similar to them, and even younger than some of the disciples, but his face that still had a trace of childishness was angular, firm lines, made him look more robust than his age. After the two of them left, Aoi Yuzawa's face was ashen. "Father, this, after 10 consecutive days of high-intensity training, the daily workload was constantly increasing. Everyone was clenching their teeth and persevering. No one had the slightest bit of complaints. The handlebar mustache man was rather dissatisfied with Yu Mingwei's performance, but he also knew that this was human nature. He said, "You don't have to worry too much. Immortal Constellation is such a small place. The power of the Honorable Martial Alliance, let be like that. Other than Kong Yu, there are no other strong martial artists. The matters of the Honorable Martial Alliance, naturally we will worry about it. Now think carefully, what ideas do you have?" The handlebar mustache man said, "The higher-ups have already sent a senior expert to help. Kong Yu, do not have to worry. But if we do not do anything, when the higher-ups come, it will not look good for everyone." Listening to the discussion of the clansmen in hushed voices, Uncle Chien looked at the training grounds, and a smile quietly appeared on his face. Every day, when he had time, he would come to the side to watch the youths train. This had already become his favorite thing to do every day. Seeing the unwillingness to admit defeat on the faces of the youths, he would always feel that the future of the Shangwan clan would definitely be better. Their passion, their unwillingness to admit defeat, their ideals, their ambitions. If only the son-in-law had come earlier. This kind of energetic atmosphere quietly pervaded the Shangwan clan. The entire Shangwan clan would come to the training grounds every day to watch these youths train. Because they were afraid of disturbing the children, all of their eyes were filled with joy and anticipation for the future. But everyone's eyes lit up. The handlebar mustache man praised. "Good plan. Is still young Master Zhe Qing, who is quick-witted and resourceful. This matter will be handed over to young Master Zhe Qing to handle. He is a member of the Honorable Martial Alliance," a tall person said indifferently. Hearing that, Aoi Yuzawa could not help but be stunned, and then his face changed. Although his heart was filled with hatred, and came up with such a sinister plan, but he was definitely not willing to put himself in danger. Uncle Chien had already started to secretly investigate the Yu clan. Although this matter is dangerous, but it is also an opportunity. If you can achieve great merits this time, and enter the eyes of the various masters, it will be very beneficial to your future. Yu Mingwei looked at Aoi Yuzawa and encouraged, "I do not want you to stay in Immortal Constellation forever. You have to go to a bigger constellation and push our Yu clan to a more glorious stage." Miss had chosen a good son-in-law. The training grounds seemed to be enveloped with a strange aura, silent and energetic. But until the young Master Tian showed how hardworking he was, then they were truly moved. Uncle Chien's smile froze on his face. There were people who were so tired that they laid on the ground panting, but after resting for a while, they struggled to get up and continue to train. There were people who fell from exhaustion, but after sitting for a while, they continued to train. Young Master Tian was not smarter than them, but just more hardworking than them. No, even more hardworking. They looked at young Master Tian, practicing a set of fist techniques for hundreds of thousands of times. They were speechless. They had never been so shocked before. In this world, there was actually someone who could do this. Tang Tian's son-in-law was like a monster who did not know fatigue, sweating day and night. They did not have any complaints at all. "My son did not mean it that way," Yu Mingwei hurriedly explained. Nothing was more convincing than comparing with someone of the same age in front of you day and night. He tried to defend himself. "My ability is still lacking, but I have a good candidate. Miss is a good eye." Uncle Chien looked at the raging scene, and in his muddy old eyes, flashed a trace of gratification. I did not expect that Tang Tian was actually so powerful. The current head of the Yu clan, Yu Mingwei's face was solemn, and said, "He is obviously only at the 5th level, but he is so fierce. Such a powerful young man. He should not be a nobody." Everyone's gaze landed on Yu Qingze, and a tall person raised his eyebrows. "Speak." Young Master Tian's talent compared to Miss was not worth mentioning, but his hard-working was unparalleled. Because Tang Tian's son-in-law's training was many times more than theirs. Son-in-law's training was not concealed at all, and everyone could see the whole process. They could see Tang Tian's son-in-law's thinking, Tang Tian's son-in-law's trial and error, but more than that, it was repeated over and over again, tirelessly, so boring that it made one's hair stand on end. But at this time, a subordinate ran in with a flustered expression, ran to Uncle Qian's ear, and whispered a few words. He felt it even more deeply. Yu Mingqiu's death did not cause the entire Yu clan to sink into sorrow. Yu Mingqiu had faded from everyone's sight for many years. His sudden appearance made everyone feel surprised, but that was all. Suddenly, Yu Qingze, who was beside Yu Mingwei, said, "I have an idea." Mrs. Talent was unattainable, but young Master Tian's achievements were all sweat, real sweat. No one retreated. Everyone knew that they had to be hard-working. Every disciple of the Shangguan clan knew. The Shangguan clan's resurgence in these 2 years was unstoppable. The long-forgotten tentacles were quietly reviving. Although because the Shangguan clan had not fully recovered, these tentacles could not be compared to when the Shangguan clan was at its peak, but it could not be ignored. The sun is so beautiful. Aoi Yuzuo was stunned. He did not expect his father to have such high expectations of him, and was overwhelmed with emotions. He said excitedly, "Father, don't worry. Your son will definitely settle this matter well. Then we'll have to trouble young Master Zai Qing." A tall person nodded towards the two and said, "We're going to rest." Everyone was risking their lives, and in everyone's eyes flashed a flame that belonged to the youth. Chapter 110. This rascal can't run away today. Just thinking about it makes me angry. If I don't beat him up, I won't feel at ease. Just a step away was the young master of the Yun clan, Yun Yao. The Yun clan was established in business and was the #1 merchant clan in Immortal Constellation Mountain. Their financial power was so strong that even the Shangguan clan could not compare. That's right. Any random Tom, Dick, or Harry wants to dominate Miss Chia. Let's see if our fists agree or not. No matter how one looked at it, the Shangguan clan had fallen this time. Furthermore, after this incident, it would be a fatal blow to the Shangguan clan's reputation, which was still recovering. They were all pampered playboy and had never seen such a scene before. They were all scared out of their wits just now. But when they regained their senses, all of them were enraged. He took a step forward and walked out of the crowd. His face was still wearing a smile that was not a smile. He looked around, and his tone was full of sarcasm and disdain. "Since when did the matters between me and Chia become the place for trash like you to point fingers at me?" Everyone stared blankly at Tang Tian. None of them could believe their own eyes. A large group of youths gathered together. All of them were dressed luxuriously. Beside them were many servants. Looking around, there were more than 200 people. Every one of the youths had an unfriendly face. Their expressions were gloomy. Before he could finish his sentence, his figure disappeared. Tang Tian was dead meat this time. Such a ferocious fellow. No matter what, he could not let anything happen to the young Master Tian. Even if the Shangguan clan offended all the other clans, he would not hesitate. He had followed Chia Shangguan through the most difficult years. Now that he was alone, Miss was like a daughter to him. In his eyes, Miss was more important than anyone else. No one would have thought that under such circumstances, this fellow would not only jump out, but also take the initiative to provoke them. Was this fellow's brain damaged? Was he tired of living? He understood these nouveau riches too well, because he was the same as them. Although they were not evil people, they cared about their reputation. In a moment of anger, they would definitely do anything. He suddenly grinned, revealing 2 rows of snow-white teeth. Too beautiful. The surroundings quietened down. It was the first time in his life that he had personally planned this operation in the dark and saw that his plan was abnormally successful. The young man on the left, wearing a light green silk shirt, was the eldest son of the Ming family, Junikiko. Although the Ming clan was not as illustrious as the Shangguan clan, but it was the evergreen tree of immortal Constellation Mountain, and there was almost no low tide. The Ming clan was a force to be reckoned with at immortal Constellation Mountain, and Junikiko had long participated in the clan's affairs. She had paid a special visit to the Shangguan family and admired the young miss very much. Tang Tian was a little surprised. They were actually coming for him? He was a little puzzled in his heart. He had just arrived at Rainbow Star. He shouldn't have offended anyone. Yet these people actually came looking for him? The Shangguan family was finished this time. He could hear that the entire Shangguan family was in an uproar. The sounds of weapons clashing, footsteps, and angry roars could be heard. People were gathering and closing in on him. Tang Tian had practiced the eagle claw before. His fingers were like hooks as he slightly tightened his grip. Looking at Shanghai Qian's pale white face and the cold sweat on his forehead, he knew how bad the situation was. His heart was like an ice field, cold and murderous. His smile was filled with arrogance and sharpness like a knife. Junikiko never thought that Tang Tian would actually make a move. He was not prepared at all. His identity was noble, but his power was terrible. Once Tang Tian's murderous aura rushed out, he panicked. Without waiting for him to react, his neck was grabbed by Tang Tian. Shangguan Qian's amiable face became stern and solemn, but there was a hint of gentleness in the depths of his eyes. I haven't been so angry in a long time. No one would have thought that everyone was still in a state of shock from Tang Tian's provocation. Tang Tian did not know that as his fighting experience gradually increased, once he was moved, a strong murderous aura would uncontrollably spread out. Uncle Qian was shocked by Tang Tian's murderous aura. Although Tang Tian was a delinquent, super school bully, and his performance was very fierce, Tang Tian did not have any murderous aura at that time. Almost instantly, he appeared beside Junikiko without warning. Tang Tian listened for a while and understood what these people meant. Yun Yao stepped forward and bowed, and said loudly, "Uncle Qian, we are here to see the so-called son-in-law of the Shangguan family. Miss Qian Hui is the most respected person in this nephew's heart, and not just anyone can match up to Miss Qian Hui. Miss, old Qian will always defend you." Tang Tian spat out these words, and the sneer on the corner of his mouth turned into a ferocious smile. Soon, Tang Tian and Shangguan Qian came to the door with Shangguan Wei and the others. Too arrogant. The two attendants suddenly realized that the young master was in the hands of the other party, and quickly withdrew their true power. The two of them groaned and suffered slight internal injuries. The people were so scared that their faces turned pale, and then realized what had just happened. "Where is that bastard Tang Tian? Come out if you have the guts." The Shangguan family's door was tightly surrounded. Tang Tian made a move. Tang Tian saw so many people, and his eyes narrowed. "Troublemakers, but it's very useful." The mustached man said disapprovingly, "This is enough." These people all had extraordinary backgrounds. A toad lusting for swan meat. Miss Chia is like a fairy. I don't believe there is anyone in this world who is worthy of her. Tang Tian's sudden move was out of everyone's expectations. To them, Tang Tian standing out was already stupid enough to take the initiative to make a move on them. 2 steps away, the seemingly frivolous young man with a head of fiery red short hair was the second son of the Huiyin family. Huiyin Guang, who had a fiery temper, was doted on by the Huiyin old grandmother and had always been lawless. The Huiyin family was one of the oldest families in immortal Constellation Mountain and had deep roots. He saw that there were a few playboy who were close to Junikiko and had already sent servants to report to the Ming family. The 2 attendants were shocked, and 2 rays of sharp fist auras whistled behind them. Tang Tian's move was asking for his own death. Looking around, Almost all the families of Immortal Constellation Mountain with a bit of history were all here. Such a strong lineup. Uncle Qian's heart jumped. Many of the families were not even in Rainbow City. Chu family, Hao family, Shun family, Qi family. The two attendants by Jun Akiko's side were the first to react. The two of them seemed to have awoken from a dream. Their faces changed. They shouted and wanted to block Tang Tian. I don't like this kind of person. A tall person shook his head. No one was clearer than him about Tang Tian's importance to Missy. In Missy's world, Tang Tian was the only ray of light in the darkness. Uncle Qian was also stunned, but he quickly composed himself. I wonder why you were looking for my son-in-law. Shanghai Wei and Shangguan Zhu, who were panting heavily, brought a group of Shangguan disciples and rushed out with killing intent. If they were to be defeated by Tang Tian today, to them, it would undoubtedly be a great humiliation. They felt that they had the advantage in numbers and had the absolute advantage in power. Just now, it was just a sneak attack by Tang Tian, and they were not prepared. A tall person sighed. Tang Tian is in trouble. Tang Tian's hand was clutching Jun Akiko's throat. His figure rose and fell a few times, and like a bolt of lightning, he flew far away. But when Uncle Qian's gaze swept across this group of people, his heart sank and gave birth to an ominous premonition. If Tang Tian had lowered his head, these people would have vented their anger, and the possibility of letting him go was very high. But now, Tang Tian had offended everyone and even threatened Jun Akiko. The nature of the matter had changed. Aoi Yuzawa does have some ability. The mustached man laughed. The crowd was enraged. All kinds of curses were heard. Everyone's face was indescribably excited. Uncle Qian, all of you beat him to death. If you want to marry Miss Chia, you have to ask for my permission first. Who knew that Tang Tian seemed to have guessed it long ago? His body swayed like a pendulum. Leaving two afterimages, like a loach, he slipped in between two attendants and slipped in. Seeing the increasingly turbulent emotions, this group of people was like a barrel of gunpowder. As long as there was a spark, it would explode. Hiding in the crowd, Aoi Yuzawa was full of pride, especially when he saw the panic in the eyes of the Shangguan clan's disciples. He was so excited that he almost moaned. The Shangguan clan had gathered a total of more than 200 people. These 200 people, although there were no strong martial artists, but there were many of them, and these servants and attendants by Playboy's side were all rather strong. And the Shangguan clan did not dare to make a move on these Playboy. Once they offended all these clans, there would be no place for the Shangguan clan in Immortal Constellation Mountain. Hui Yingguang snorted coldly. Stop pretending. Which one is Tang Tian? Son-in-law. Jun Akiko interrupted at this time. His tone was full of unfriendliness. I want to be able to become Miss Chia's husband. What kind of person is he? But the blood in his body at this time was boiling hot. It could melt steel. His eyes were like a wilderness burning with raging flames. Those angry and agitated curses, word by word, clearly passed into his ears. Tang Tian, you're dead meat. Aoi Yuzawa's face revealed a look of surprise. He was so excited that he almost screamed out. There's a conspiracy. But Uncle Qian was no longer the Uncle Qian from 2 years ago. His face did not change. He forced himself to calm down and said calmly, Gentlemen, why are you all gathered in front of my Shangguan clan? A group of people whistled as they chased after Tang Tian in front of them. Let me ask first. Uncle Qian hurriedly stopped Tang Tian, not knowing why. He felt that the current Tang Tian was filled with an inexplicable sense of danger. Uncle Qian's heart calmed down. All the hesitation and fear disappeared. Damn, this is absolutely intolerable. Want to escape? No way. You're simply tired of living. Uncle Qian's eyes flashed a trace of sternness. He took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Call all the disciples in the martial arts arena. On the rooftops far away, people could be seen watching the commotion from afar. Among the crowd, a tall person and the mustache man were mixed in. Almost instantly, Uncle Qian understood that someone was secretly playing tricks. But the other party had the ability to gather almost the entire power of Immortal Constellation. Uncle Qian's heart could not help but tremble. These families, the combined power, even if Miss was here, it was impossible to contend against. Jun Akiko suddenly felt pain in his throat and immediately screamed. Chase! Kill him! Chapter 111. His speed was extremely fast. Although the soaring boots of the pony was not as strong as the blue peacock, it was still a bronze treasure. With the activation of Tang Tian's silver martial spirit, the true power of the soaring boots of the pony could be unleashed. The guard turned pale with fright, but before he could react, he lost sight of the opponent. Good terrain. The confidence in Tang Tian's tone did not seem to be a bluff, but Jun Akiko floated in the air. At that moment, he was so ashamed that he wanted to die. Feeling the heat wave engulfing his back, Tang Tian's eyes flashed with a cold light. You bunch of bastards, very soon, you will know the taste of a young man's anger. Go and die. The crowd surged towards the lamppost like a tide. The impact of this scene on them was unparalleled. But for some reason, he couldn't laugh. His mouth couldn't make any sound. His eyes even seemed to lose focus. The figure of the youth on the lamppost couldn't be said to be majestic or strong, but it seemed to emit a kind of power that could frighten one's soul. Jun Akiko had never suffered such humiliation before. His eyes were spitting fire, but he knew that no matter what he said, it would be useless. He was silent. His face was green. Separated by the guard, the tip of his foot quietly hit Playboy, who was behind, and released his energy. Jun Akiko heard this and was stunned. He almost thought that he heard wrong. Was this guy's brain really caught in the door? Could he not understand the situation? Did he not know he had already offended all the powerful families in Immortal Constellation Mountain? Did he not know he did not have the slightest chance of winning? Did he not know, even if it was Xie Shangguan, he would definitely not dare to do such a thing? Looking at the rapidly surging crowd, he opened his arms, and with a step, like a big bird, he dived down towards the crowd. On the tall lamppost, the young man's unruly figure, against the light, seemed to be embedded in the sun. Jun Akiko, who was being held by Tang Tian's arm, suppressed the panic in his heart and pretended to be calm. You can't escape. Give up. Escape? A cold laugh came from above his head, carrying with it a cold, killing intent. Do you think I'm running away? Tang Tian's figure suddenly stopped. His figure flashed and appeared beside the luxuriously dressed Playboy. The incomparably fast moon handblade made the two guards feel a cold glint in their eyes. They turned pale with fright and hurriedly raised their palms to block. Jun Akiko clenched his teeth and swore in his heart, but when he caught a glimpse of other people pouring into the square from the corner of his eye, all his vows were thrown out the window. His face was so red that it seemed like it could ooze blood, and he wished he could find a hole to hide in. For small hooves, like a powerful spring, full of power, came from under the feet. Tang Tian was like an arrow leaving the bow, the wind whistling past his ears. Just as he was about to open his mouth to stop them, he was blown away by the strong wind, unable to speak. Why was this guy so confident? Playboy let out a blood-curdling scream as he was sent flying like a sandbag, as if he had been rammed by a rhino. You can't. He had never lost face like this. Never. Rank 5 Fire Python Fist-Killing Technique. Fire Python Swallowing Kill. In one move, the opponent would either collapse upon contact or suffer a loss. Hui Yingguang raised his fist. The red flames on his fist exploded, like a huge python opening its bloody mouth. The air crackled and exploded, bringing with it an extremely high temperature with a loud rumble. Aoi Yuzawa did not know how to describe this power. His mouth floated a gentle smile, warm and gentle, but firm as steel. The people that rushed into the square could not help but slow down their footsteps. They were stunned by the scene in front of them. Tang Tian felt as if he had returned to the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. It was extremely familiar. His 6 times intuition was displayed to the fullest. Rank 5 true power allowed him to lift something heavy as though it was light. Close combat was Tang Tian's most proficient fighting style. The variety of martial techniques allowed him to find the most suitable martial technique no matter what situation he was in. Jun Akiko stared blankly at Tang Tian, who knew where he pulled out a rope and nimbly tied him up. The whistling gale blew, causing Jun Akiko to be unable to open his eyes, but his heart was filled with doubt and puzzlement. Tang Tian's words carried an incomparably strong self-confidence, as though this matter, to him, was an extremely simple matter. At this moment, he should be laughing maniacally. The result of this plan was far more outstanding and effective than he had expected. They opened their mouths wide, but were unable to make any sound. Their disbelieving gazes were unable to move away from the untamed figures. The young man on the lamppost seemed to have some sort of mysterious magical power. Aoyuzawa was also in a daze. He had thought of countless possibilities, but none of them matched the scene in front of him, because he did not believe that anyone would be so stupid to the point of challenging the bottom line of all the clans. The strength of these people, compared to the 18 bronze men, was far from it. Although the number of people had increased, Tang Tian actually did not have the slightest bit of strength. His gaze was fixated on the playboy. Tang Tian, who was against the light, had his face shrouded in the shadows. His expression on his face could not be seen clearly. Only the arc at the corner of his mouth was suddenly cold. Chie was Tang Tian's reverse scale, a scale that no one could touch. This idiot actually stopped here. Maybe time has passed. Maybe we have already started to grow up, but the promise that the young man made that year was still ringing in our ears. The whistling gale disappeared. Jun Akiko was stunned. Not escaping? Then he is. Everyone seemed to have awoken from a dream. With concealed weapons in their hands, they shot towards Tang Tian, who was rapidly falling from the sky. In a moment, the concealed weapons were like rain, whistling through the air. He had long decided not to let a single one of them go. And where is he? Someone subconsciously exclaimed. Jun Akiko's bodyguard angrily shouted, causing everyone to wake up from their dream. The entire square immediately exploded. Everyone started cursing and swearing. Even Yun Yao, a person with good self-restraint, was also enraged. Looking at Jun Akiko, who was suspended high up in the sky, he could empathize with him. But that fellow was so arrogant to the point that they did not dare to laugh at him. Suddenly, a force came from the arm that was clamping him, causing him to almost scream, but his pride was strong. He endured the pain and did not make a sound. The shouts from the playboy had long angered him. Tang Tian had just stabilized his body when a roar came from behind him. His eyes were blazing. The wind whistled past his ears like knives, but his heart was strangely calm. Asshole, I will definitely not let you off. Everyone was dumbfounded. Anyone, anything. I will definitely dismember your body into 10,000 pieces. The figure that was descending like a big bird was like a shooting star crashing down towards them. Jun Akiko could not understand even if he racked his brain, but he had been in contact with the family matters for a long time, and his horizons were much wider than his peers. Wait a minute. Tang Tian did not care about Jun Akiko. Using his hands and feet, he climbed up the lamppost, and then he placed Jun Akiko, who was tied up like a palm, down. The other end of the rope was tied to the lamppost. What was even more out of everyone's expectations was that his true power actually contained two different types of energy chi. Peacock, 6 times intuition. The young lad was very brave and was not afraid at all. Yun Yao and the rest looked at each other. All of them could see the anger in each other's eyes. This was truly a common enemy. Tang Tian skillfully tied the last butterfly knot and then raised his head to look at the tall lamppost. Relax, all of you. I will not let any of you off. In the next moment, screams came out from the crowd. A blue figure, like a tiger in a flock of sheep. Everywhere he passed, screams would follow. It was as though he was trying his best to tell himself the young lad on the lamppost was too arrogant. Tang Tian's hand blade suddenly became like a soft rope, touching the opponent's palm. Borrowing the opponent's strength, his body swayed. This rascal. What is he trying to do? Jun Akiko opened his eyes in a daze. The surrounding terrain was wide open. He was stunned, but his eyes suddenly lit up. His heart was in ecstasy. It was a plaza. Kill him. Hui Yingguang was the first to roar, staining Fall's leverage, since when they, who were of noble statuses, would suffer such humiliation. The dense crowd became extremely chaotic, but Tang Tian was as agile as a blue fish. Based on what? Young lad Tang was not a broad-minded person. He was the one who held grudges. It was as though he could see, under the starry night sky, on top of the rock, the young lady smiling sweetly, the young lad ignorant and foolish, his tender and soft fingers hooked onto the calloused and rough fingers, making a childish and innocent vow. Go! Yin Yao ordered without hesitation. Everywhere he passed, people were thrown off their feet. It became even more chaotic. In such a chaotic battle, concealed weapons could not be used at all. He would not allow anyone to meddle with the relationship between him and Xie. Running with all his might, Tang Tian's calm voice did not tremble. In the howling wind, it was exceptionally clear. A clear shout came out from the sky above him. Everyone only saw a blue afterimage flash in their field of vision and then disappear. At this time, he had already determined that Tang Tian was a brave but not astute person. Such an idiot actually stopped in such an unfavorable terrain. Such an open terrain was suitable for them to display their advantage in numbers. Junikiko suddenly had a bad premonition. Unfortunately, before he could react, he felt like he was riding on the clouds. He somewhat guessed what Tang Tian wanted to do, and his face turned white. Yes, arrogant. The Ming family will not let you go. The crowd gasped, but Yin Yao's voice came out from the crowd. Use concealed weapons. Just like playing on a swing, Tang Tian's toes stealthily touched the ground. Tang Tian, you're dead. The sounds of pursuit and roars behind him. Tang Tian did not hear them. The curve of his lips was as sharp as a blade. His squinted eyes carried the coldness of a wild beast. The young lad still remembered. The young lad was stronger than before. A long rope hung from the top of the lamppost. The esteemed eldest son of the Ming family was now tied up like a meat cake, floating in the air. The blue peacock armor made Tang Tian's fighting style even more ferocious, his figure even more ghostly. The large square was so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. Chapter 112. The transparent barrier on Tang Tian's fist was immediately broken, and the surrounding air was immediately pulled into countless of sharp air currents, crazily surging towards Tang Tian's fist. How is that possible? The sharp energy caused sparks to fly out from the blue peacock armor on his chest. His vision turned black, and he fainted. A clear and crisp sound like a firecracker suddenly sounded out. Hui Yingguang's heart was in shock, although the consecutive double kick was not a good technique, but he still had some understanding. It was a perfect chain of 2 kicks. Every second, he could send out 4 kicks, but he was still half a step too slow and missed. Pa! The dazzling red fist flames fluttered like a fire python that was a few meters long. It suddenly shot up, opening its bloody mouth, wanting to swallow someone. The fist flame python was like a sieve, trembling violently. Tang Tian acted as though nothing had happened. The moment he landed, he bent his knees, and like a cannonball, he rushed towards Hui Yingguang, who was surrounded by the fire python. The blue light came without any warning. Hui Yingguang seemed to have awoken from his dream. He immediately understood Tang Tian's intention and was enraged, both his legs fiercely stomping on the ground. He soared into the sky and punched towards the peacock in the sky. Suddenly, Hui Yingguang's pupils congealed. Tang Tian's fist had an additional transparent ball of light. Seeing the rapidly expanding fire python, Tang Tian's eyes reflected the sea of flames in his eyes. I've been waiting for you. Cries of alarm could be heard from the crowd, and the guards all flew towards their young master who had been sent flying. Like a string of firecrackers, the clear and crisp sound of the firecrackers exploding was so concentrated that it made people unable to breathe. Wave after wave of true power, with an astonishing frequency, suddenly rushed over. Pa. The blue peacock quietly appeared on his shoulder, its bright red feathers lightly trembling. The 10 pieces of blue armor on Tang Tian's body suddenly shot out. They flew close to the ground. Their speed was as fast as lightning, yet they were silent. The fist flame that enveloped his fist transformed into the head of a small fire python that wanted to devour people. Although it was a size smaller, it was more solid. The curled-up tail of the fire python was like a huge whip as it suddenly lashed out. Idiot! No matter how powerful Qie Shangwan was, how could he go against the entire immortal constellation mountain? A blurry blue figure suddenly blocked the fire python's momentum. Aoi Yuzawa originally thought that victory was in his grasp, so he rushed forward excitedly. Who would have thought that Tang Tian would suddenly turn around and attack him? He was so scared that his face turned pale. He turned around and wanted to escape. The crowd cried out in alarm. Hui Yingguang was usually arrogant and despotic. He was not as praised as Junakiko and Yuniyao. However, when he made his move, everyone was shocked. The fire python fist was one of the secret martial techniques of the whole clan. It was suitable for martial artists with fire affinity, true power to train. Rank 5 martial techniques to train a killing technique. Not only did it require outstanding talent, it also required a lot of time. Hui Yingguang was stunned for a moment. He actually forgot to attack. He stared at the blue figure, disappearing from his field of vision. What a weird true power. Once Hui Yingguang released his killing technique, the momentum was immediately different. Pu-pu-pu. The sharp air current, like an angry arrow, entered the fire python fist flame. Hui Yingguang's gaze was ice cold. The killing intent in his chest was boiling. The power of the fist flame in his hands became even more astonishing. Tang Tian seemed to have predicted it. Borrowing the power from his toes, his body moved horizontally. The tip of the fire python tail brushed past his body. Consecutive double kicks. Go and die. Hui Yingguang's gaze turned cold. His left fist that was hidden in the shadows suddenly spat out. Everyone who witnessed this scene were all scared out of their wits. One of the guards who bore the brunt of the attack turned pale. In a panic, the steel blade in his hand slashed horizontally. Young master! The young masters who were entangled by the ropes were brought to the sky by the peacock. The peacock's body did not look big, but its power was surprisingly strong. It flapped its wings and flew quickly towards the lamppost. Although he had seen Tang Tian's bravery, Hui Yingguang was already mentally prepared for a fierce battle. But when he truly fought with him, the pressure was still beyond his expectations. Hui Yingguang forcefully stabilized his true power. He prepared to dissolve the true power. But the true power that entered his fist suddenly exploded. Tang Tian, who was rushing towards him, did not have any intention of dodging. He brazenly made his move. Concussion fist. Hui Yingguang's temper was unyielding. How could he be the one to suffer? Enduring the stuffiness in his chest, he snorted. Flipping his right elbow, he suddenly struck horizontally. Not to mention that Junakiko would owe him a huge favor. His reputation would also soar to the peak. The only thing to worry about was Qie Shanghai's return. But if he could defeat Tang Tian at this moment and save Jun Akiko, Tang Tian's palm looked like it was gently patting the guard's blade. Poof! Tang Tian's body was like lightning, flying past the crowd. In the exchange just now, Tang Tian was testing the waters. After exchanging blows, Tang Tian knew that Hui Yingguang was a tough nut to crack. He decided to leave this tough nut to crack for last. So he purposely used the crane body energy first, then the heavenly dragon energy. The explosive heavenly dragon energy allowed him to easily break away from the opponent. A sharp whistling sound came out without warning, like an owl crying in the forest. The explosion of true power was even more sudden. Hui Yingguang was not prepared at all, but in the next second, his face changed. Hui Yingguang's reaction was extremely fast. Withdrawing his elbow, his body shrunk. The fire python's body coiled into a ball, protecting him in the middle. In everyone's eyes, Hui Yingguang was a typical hedonistic young master. No one would have thought that he would actually be willing to spend so much effort on this. Borrowing the strength of Hui Yingguang's fist, Tang Tian arched his back, and like a ray of blue lightning, he rushed into the oncoming crowd. Fire Python Fist. The fist flame was like a python, overbearing but not lacking in nimbleness. It was a rank 5 martial technique of the highest quality. Tang Tian's true power actually contained 2 different types of energy. Tang Tian's body was suspended in midair. His legs were so fast that it was hard for people to see them clearly. Every time he kicked, his toes would light up a conical halo. Even now, the fire in his eyes was still burning and flickering. The fire python's head was raised high, waiting for an opportunity to move. A strong energy was transmitted from the fist. Hui Yingguang's heart trembled. Such a strong power, as expected of a rank 4 martial technique's killing technique. But to think that such a strong attack could defeat his fire python killing technique, it was just wishful thinking. The fire python's body trembled slightly and dissipated the true power. Hui Yingguang's gaze was cold. He was usually reserved and had never revealed his true strength. He did not expect that the situation would develop to such a stage. But after the situation went out of control, he suddenly realized that it was a great opportunity. But Tang Tian was faster than he thought. Seeing that the guards were about to snatch their young masters, suddenly 10 blue lights shot out from the ground, like 10 blue ropes. They wrapped around the young masters who were just thrown out. Hui Yingguang's true power that was stabilized finally collapsed and became a mess. Hui Yingguang felt as though he was in a perilous situation. His ears were filled with the howling of the wind, and he was swaying. Fast. It was so fast that he could not react in time, and could only react instinctively. But Tang Tian had broken through this limit and was close to 5 kicks per second. The young man raised his fist again. Everywhere he passed, screams could be heard, and figures after figures were thrown out. Young master. From the start, he had never thought of letting a single person go. Tang Tian bellowed. The Hui family had done a lot of research on this fist technique, passed it down from generation to generation, and left behind the fire python fist spirit cards, all of which were of high quality. Hui Yingguang had spent countless amounts of hard work on this fist technique, and among the Hui family disciples, no one could compare to him. Playboy, who had lost his protection, turned pale white, his vision blurred, and he lost consciousness. But just at this moment, suddenly, a sharp energy like an awl drilled into Hui Yingguang's fist in an instant. Hui Yingguang was caught off guard, and his true power almost dissipated. Peacock. The guard was hit hard and spat out a mouthful of blood. As though he was hit by a charging rhinoceros, he flew out. Hui Yingguang's fist was filled with anger, and the power was terrifying. The fist was like a fiery red python coming out of its hole, bringing with it a terrifying power. It pounced towards the peacock in the sky. But Hui Yingguang suddenly laughed. A rank 4 martial technique killing technique. How could it be a match for a rank 5 martial technique killing technique? A ray of fiery light flashed. What was even more unexpected was every piece of blue feather armor was tied with an extremely thin rope. Hui Yingguang relaxed. The opponent's energy was not considered strong and did not pose much of a threat to his fire python fist. Tang Tian's palm was not the crescent handblade, nor was it the broken shadow palm, but the staining fall, which borrowed strength to strike and contained the power of Hui Yingguang's fire python kill. A terrifying frequency. In a short span of 5 seconds, Hui Yingguang's fire python fist suffered a total of 25 kicks. Vacuum shock. His eyes suddenly twitched, and he immediately flicked his wrist, only to see the red fire python. In mid-air, the snake body turned and pounced towards the blue figure. Hui Yingguang's face finally changed. This pounce was as fast as lightning. Hui Yingguang's mind congealed. It's here. The power of each kick was not considered strong, but with 25 consecutive kicks stacked together, his face immediately changed. 25 waves of true power in 5 seconds surged. Even for Hui Yingguang, he also felt his chest tighten. Suddenly, from the corner of his eyes, he saw a blurry blue figure. Not good. Thinking about what Tang Tian had done today, he had already offended all the clans of Immortal Constellation Mountain. Even if Qie Shangwan was back, What could he do? They saw that Hui Yingguang was entangled with Tang Tian, and Hui Yingguang was even using his killing technique, and in their hearts, they already felt that the battle was already won. Who knew that Tang Tian actually gave up on Hui Yingguang and rushed straight towards them? All the ropes suddenly became taut. A shadow of a leg appeared in his field of vision without any warning. He did not have time to react, and the leg landed solidly on his face. Hui Yingguang's heart trembled, so fast. Everyone only felt a blur in front of them, and the blue figure, like a ghost, appeared in front of them. This movement of a rabbit and a falcon was shockingly fast. A shadow of a leg struck the fire python fist snake body. 5 kicks in a second. However, they were fast, but Tang Tian was faster. Without waiting for them to react, the peacock on Tang Tian's shoulder shrieked and rushed to the sky. Everyone was aghast. Tang Tian did not even look at Aoi Yuzawa. He only saw that Aoi Yuzawa was dressed luxuriously, and with one look, he knew that he was Playboy. All these Playboy were his targets, and there was no meaning in being entangled with the guards and servants. The transparent vacuum shock and Hui Yingguang's fire python kill collided. Concussion Fist's Killing Technique. Chapter 113. At the top of the lamppost, the young lad stood proudly, looking down at the world. The two strong forces collided, producing an extremely intense explosion. Tang Tian felt as if an earth-shattering force was crashing towards him. In the air, he had no place to borrow strength, and could only bend his arm to protect his vital parts. Everything is over. You idiot who overestimated yourself. His intuition, an alarming rate, continued to climb. He stared at Tang Tian closely, trying to find out what made him uneasy from Tang Tian's body. Vacuum jolt. The sound of the vacuum balls exploding was not loud, but it was as clear as glass breaking. 5 vacuum balls exploded at the same time. Ha! Hui Yingguang's first feeling was not right. He seemed to be reckless, but in reality he was a careful person on the inside. With such a revered status, he was willing to work hard to train, yet he hid his ambitions well. He was not as simple as others thought. Within 5 seconds, 5 killing techniques were used consecutively. The true power in Tang Tian's body was completely depleted. Hui Yingguang was shocked. It was only 2 rank 4 martial techniques. How could it have such an effect? But at the moment, he did not have time to think. Fire Python Kill was powerful, and the fire python formed from the fist flames was ferocious and overbearing. But because of that, if the fist flames were to lose control, the backlash would be extremely terrifying. Tang Tian's cold silver eyes flashed a look of admiration. The fire python formed from the fist flames extended its huge body. Its speed was extremely fast, bringing along a biting cold blood-red stench. This fist was Hui Yingguang's killing technique that he had prepared for a long time. At the moment, Tang Tian was in the air and could not borrow strength. It was impossible for him to block this attack. At the same time, a transparent vacuum ball appeared in the shallow pit. Tyrant's angry finger. It was the hand moon blade. His right palm was like a blade, and as fast as lightning, he chopped 3 times. 3 rays of cold moonlight auras, like 3 crescent moons, entered the fire python's mouth. But his mouth revealed a smile. The 3 moonbeams entered the fire python's wide open mouth, but there was no reaction at all. It was as if they had entered a sea of mud. A short 5 seconds. The fire python was getting closer and closer. The heat wave that came charging at him made Tang Tian's eyebrows and hair curl slightly. But Tang Tian seemed to be indifferent. The places where the 5 vacuum spheres were broken were like 5 vortexes. The strong suction force caused all the flames on the fire python's body to surge towards the 5 vortexes. The true power in Tang Tian's body surged to the maximum. The flames in his eyes seemed to be dyed with a layer of silver frost, emitting a cold chi. The chaos of the fist flames immediately caused the true power to become chaotic. Dong! 10 seconds. Poof! Poof! Tang Tian grabbed the unconscious Hui Yingguang. A rope dangled in front of him. It was a peacock. Tang Tian's eyes were stained with a layer of frosty silver. and his silver pupils were cold. Hui Yingguang's expression changed drastically. Was this guy a fool? For this tyrant's angry finger, Tang Tian had infused the heavenly dragon energy. The power of the 3 moonlight auras was not strong, but the location was extremely clever. The fist flames that were struck actually created a small area of chaos. Tang Tian was like a leaf, forcefully pushed 7 to 8 meters away by the chi wave. The world seemed to have quieted down, and everything around him became clearer and clearer. Tang Tian did not evade at all, his silver pupils staring straight at the snake pupils. The peacock flapped its wings above his head. Tang Tian's armor, not only was it incomplete, its luster had dimmed by a lot. He took a deep breath, grabbed onto the rope, and soared into the air. The true power in his body was like a manic python twisting its body with all its might, causing his meridians to be in intense pain. This guy is dead for sure. The fist flames formed by the release of true power. The threads of true power gathered the fist flames together, as if it was his own arm and finger. The oppressive explosion was like a heavy drum beating in Hui Yingguang's heart. Not good. The temperature of the fire python kill's fist flames was extremely high. It could melt iron and copper, but what was truly fatal was the twisting force in the fist flames. The vacuum ball formed by the vibration once again shattered, pulling in the air like an angry arrow into the fire python kill. The true power in Hui Yingguang's body, which was already somewhat manic, was completely out of control. Hui Yingguang's meridians were in intense pain. His throat was sweet. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Hui Yingguang firmly locked onto Tang Tian, who was unable to stabilize himself in the air, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. This guy, what is he trying to do? Just when everyone thought that Tang Tian could not escape, Tang Tian suddenly moved. Hui Yingguang suddenly quivered. His face changed. He finally understood why he was feeling uneasy. Tang Tian appeared too calm, without the slightest bit of panic, as if he was not threatened at all. Hui Yingguang's uneasiness in his heart became even stronger. Vacuum jolt against fire python kill. The silver martial spirit flame in his body seemed to have sensed the danger and silently surged. Fire python kill could even kill bears, tigers, and other strong wild beasts. A wretched figure came out from the fire python. Behind him, the fire python had already collapsed into a fireball and loudly exploded. The red light beam immediately exploded. But at this time, Hui Yingguang's smile suddenly froze. It was not vacuum jolt. His vision was quickly occupied by the red fist flames. The surrounding temperature rapidly rose. Tang Tian felt as if he was in a big furnace. The biting cold, killing intent, like needles, wrapped around him. And in his left hand, a red light beam shot out. The fire python came closer and closer. It opened its bloody mouth, the cold snake eyes staring at Tang Tian. His body suddenly moved. An indescribable feeling filled his entire body. This world, once entangled by the fire python kill, he would definitely die. 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, you are indeed very strong, but how can I admit defeat? Suddenly, he noticed Tang Tian's expression and could not help but be startled. If not for Tang Tian's crane body energy and heavenly dragon energy, if not for his armor, Hui Yingguang would have already won with an overwhelming advantage. But Hui Yingguang's heart gave birth to a strong sense of danger. The reason why this rascal could block his fire python kill was because he relied on his strange true power. Tang Tian's movements were as fast as lightning. Without hesitation or thinking, he attacked with both hands. Hui Yingguang cursed in his heart, but when he saw Tang Tian being engulfed by the fist flames, the stone in his heart finally dropped, and his face revealed a look of ecstasy. Tang Tian's counterattack was sharp, but he was too close to the fire python, so close that he had no time to dodge. A dazzling fireball rose from the fire python's mouth, and the fire python's head suddenly shot up from the explosion. Yet another fire python pounced from below with a menacing aura. Knowing that Tang Tian's true power was strange, Hui Yingguang learned from his previous experience, and this time, he specially set up multiple layers of true power, blocking Tang Tian's strange true power. Other than the 18 bronze figures, Tang Tian had not been forced into such a difficult situation for a long time. Although Hui Yingguang's true power was also at the 5th level, it was at the higher stage of the 5th level, and Tang Tian had just broken through to the 5th level and was only at the lower stage of the 5th level. In terms of martial techniques, Hui Yingguang was stronger than him. His concussion fist was only at the 4th level, and its killing move power was similar to a 5th level martial technique. And Hui Yingguang's fire python fist was a 5th level martial technique, and its killing move, fire python kill, was comparable to a 6th level martial technique. Damn it! The charred Tang Tian carried Hui Yingguang and stepped onto the top of the lamppost. Under his feet, the fireball suddenly exploded, transforming into countless small flames, like raindrops, sprinkling down, floating down. Boom! The red flames reflected Tang Tian's face. They were like magma, sticking close to Tang Tian's body. Tang Tian was surrounded by a layer of invisible qi, which was the armor's protection. But the speed of the qi was quickly depleted, and the feathered armor on Tang Tian's body started to crack. His left finger pointed in front of him, and the Overlord's angry finger carried a sharp crane energy, like a pickaxe. It chiseled a shallow hole in the flames in front of him. 10 times. The fire python's gigantic body froze. The flames enveloped by the qi contained an astonishing strangling power, making him feel as if he was in a strangling swamp and was unable to move. The strangling power was like an invisible rope, continuously entangling Tang Tian's body. The two attacks seemed to be released at the same time, but in reality, there was an extremely short time difference. But the Overlord's angry finger was too fast for the eyes to take in. A thunderous roar sounded in his ears. Tang Tian felt his entire body tremble. The world around him suddenly became extremely clear, and every detail could be seen clearly. This sense of danger was so sudden, so inexplicable. Hui Yingguang racked his brains, but could not think of any method that Tang Tian could use to make a comeback. Tang Tian's true power, martial techniques, were all understood by him. Tang Tian had already embedded 5 vacuum balls in the surrounding flames. The moment the qi collided, Tang Tian's throat had a trace of blood, and he could not help but groan. Peacock left. The armor was incomplete. Regardless of power or defense, it was greatly reduced. Looking at the flaming fist fire python that was charging towards him, Tang Tian suddenly grinned. The intense sense of danger made Tang Tian exceptionally focused. His state of mind, in an extremely short period of time, suddenly became calm, so calm that there was not a single ripple like a silver mirror. Hui Yingguang only felt that the flames from the true power were almost out of control. But the incomplete peacock armor could only provide him with 10 seconds of protection. On Tang Tian's face, there was actually a smile. It was an outstanding composition, but the fire python's body showed an undetectable sluggishness, followed by the Overlord's angry finger, one finger pointing at the center of the 3 moonlight symbols. The fire python had already rushed in front of Tang Tian, such a short distance. Tang Tian did not even have the possibility of dodging. It was unprecedentedly clear, so clear that he could feel the changes in the air around his body. They were in a complicated, seemingly chaotic way, surging and colliding. Tang Tian even had a premonition that in the future, when his strength became stronger, these small, seemingly harmless air currents could all be used by him. The pervasive high temperature and twisting force did not disturb Tang Tian. The enormous and surging fire python's flames became exceptionally clear in his heart. Chapter 114. They were all too familiar with this lamppost. It was actually a small lighthouse, planted in the center of the plaza, and provided light to the entire plaza at night. Almost at the same time, 3 other long whistles sounded from 3 other directions, echoing from afar. On the lamppost, there were many figures hanging, and every one of them was a famous playboy from the immortal constellation mountain. The usually arrogant young masters were now like chickens and ducks waiting to be slaughtered, floating in the air. Unknowingly, in another direction, on top of a roof, a smiling guy stood there. But now, they looked at the ropes hanging from the lamppost and the figures hanging from the ropes. But the power of the blood meridians? Despicable. They were stunned, completely stunned. Sima Xiangshan chuckled, of course not. But at this stage, Shanghai Qian felt at ease. This feud was set in stone. This scene, suddenly, a group of people rushed over. It was Uncle Qian leading Shanghai Wei's disciples. This was the first time she saw such a dazzling battle quality in such a young lad. He was at a disadvantage in terms of strength, but he was able to win. This young lad was not simple. That's terrible. A ghostly voice came from another direction. The voice was soft, but everyone could hear it. If she did not see it with her own eyes, she would never believe it. And she knew her brother could not see Tang Tian's silver martial spirit. That meant Tang Tian should have cultivated the silver martial spirit during this period of time. Shanghai Qian felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, and the group of guards immediately cheered. These four were all famous experts of the immortal constellation mountain, and their strength was profound. Just one of them was enough to move people, and now that all four of them were here, aha, that's great. Fundamental Tang is in the limelight. I can't tarnish his reputation as a lively martial man. I want to let Fundamental Tang see how strong a man can be worthy of such a resounding name as the lively martial man. Amauri raised his arms high, his expression excited. Amauri, who had just crawled out, was covered in dirt. He widened his bell-like eyes and glared angrily at his surroundings. He looked indescribably funny. However, no one could laugh. His bull-like body and terrifying impact were too ferocious. It's rare to see our ice beauty so impatient. Sima Xiangshan's voice was like drifting smoke. The others also rushed out without saying a word. Fierce, calm, tenacious, it seems to be a fierce battle. The experienced and prudent Liang Qiu looked solemn. It was a martial spirit, a silver martial spirit. Everyone shivered and their expressions changed. An expert. The guards who had seen Hope were now completely dumbfounded. The peacock returned to the armor, and only then did Tang Tian feel a chill from the armor. Tang Tian laughed bitterly in his heart. This time, the peacock would need a period of time to recover. Mingyong, Yindi, Huiyan Shan, Eugene Hong, what are you looking at? If anyone is dishonest, I'll cut their young master's body with a knife. Don't worry, although I have never trained in blade techniques, but my technique is not bad. Young man Tang was not someone who was easy to talk to. Wasn't this guy at the big tomb outer camp? Why did he come out? You better not provoke him. Liang Qiu warned Sima Xiangshan. Luckily, the loot was plentiful. As expected, everyone's gaze turned to them. All of these gazes were filled with anger. Many of them were ready to make a move. Kong Yu could tell that something was amiss. Without batting an eyelid, she said, "Seems like there's more to it than meets the eye." Kong Yu's appearance was beautiful and had a mature charm. She only had light makeup on her face and was dressed in a plain white dress, which made her look even more beautiful like a fairy. A figure flew across the sky like a shooting star and landed on a house. Kong Yu was surprised, but her subordinates were even more surprised. At that time, because of Kong Yu Lin, they threw Tang Tian to the big tomb outer camp and did not care about him anymore. No one thought that they would actually see Tang Tian here again. Uncle Qian almost stumbled. Young Master Tian, are you afraid that others did not notice? Tang Tian's current appearance was definitely considered battered and exhausted. His entire body was covered in smoke and fire. The luxurious peacock armor had already become unrecognizable. Tang Tian's face darkened. In the battle with Hui Yingguang, his true power was greatly depleted. But Hui Yingguang's light was completely blocked by the young man on the lamppost. Shameless. The people below were even more furious. Who would have thought that this beautiful and dignified beauty was actually the Honorable Martial Alliance branch minister of Immortal Constellation Mountain? Their faces were filled with bewilderment. Treacherous villain. Ah, is fundamental Tang not handsome enough? Amaury opened his eyes wide in astonishment. Why do I feel that he is very handsome? Compared to the lively martial man, he is just a little lacking. The figure directly pierced through the roof, causing the earth to shake. The house suddenly collapsed, and dust filled the air. After a while, a huge figure struggled to climb up from inside. Han Bingning turned his face. Do you mind? One of them shouted sternly. Tang Tan, if you dare to touch a single hair of young master, you are dead. His subordinate quivered and immediately replied, Yes. The few of them are all from Starwind City. On the roofs of the houses in the distance, one by one, agile figures quickly approached the plaza. Tang Tian, leave it to us. Too naive. As for the body, it was definitely perfect, slender, and well-proportioned, with perfect proportions, without a trace of excess fat. A blurry green figure, with astonishing speed, was approaching them. Who is this person? Kong Yu's face flashed a look of surprise as she looked towards the lamppost. Just at this moment, a duck-like howl suddenly appeared in the air. The voice was extremely loud and actually suppressed the 4 long howls. Tang Tian's expression changed as he looked towards the direction of the voice. Deep in her calm eyes, there seemed to be something flickering. This trace of killing intent was quickly suppressed by her, as her attention once again landed on Tang Tian. Suddenly, a long howl came from afar. The chi in the meridians was long. One look, and one could tell that it was a person with profound true power. Hui Yingguang's strength had already surprised her. At such a young age, he had already reached the 5th level and was able to comprehend the killing technique of a 5th level martial technique. Hui Yingguang's talent and hard work were extremely outstanding. This fellow, wherever he goes, he always causes a commotion. Liang Qiu looked at Tang Tian, who was on the lamppost, and sighed with admiration. They had personally witnessed how Tang Tian grew from an ultimate retainer to where he was today, and felt even more deeply. 2 bodyguards immediately rushed out from the crowd below. Their faces were slightly pale. Dong! Han Bingning's sword was unsheathed, and the surrounding temperature dropped. In the midst of the commotion, Shanghai Wei and the rest all felt the pressure as they wiped off their cold sweat and took the opportunity to get closer to Tang Tian. But when they panted and ran to the plaza, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. Their gazes seemed to be glued to the lamppost and could not be moved away, and their footsteps stopped involuntarily. Amaury's face was like a well-behaved baby as he distanced himself from Han Bingning. Once the Ice Mountain beauty Amaury flared up, even Amaury, who loved to fight, would not be able to avoid it. She would draw her sword without a word, and every strike would be fatal. More importantly, although her temperament was cold, she was unusually unyielding. Once she was angered, she would definitely not rest until one of them died. If you have the ability, then fight with real swords and spears. What kind of hero are you? Tang Tian noticed that Uncle Qian and the rest had rushed over, raised his arm, and shouted, Over here! Kong Yu did not speak. Her gaze landed on Tang Tian on the lamppost, and became more interested. To be able to catch her brother's eye, and even bring him to Immortal Constellation Mountain, this fellow must have something special. She was very clear that her brother, who had just been killed, had a rather good eye for people. Let's go. Han Bingning's eyes drooped without any change in expression, her left hand holding on her sword. She bent down, exerted strength in her legs, and like an arrow leaving the bow, she rushed out. She was equally bewildered. She could see that Tang Tian had just stepped into the 5th level not long ago, and was able to cultivate a silver martial spirit at the 5th level. Sima Xiangshan chuckled, but kept his mouth shut. Peacock, wait a minute. You really don't need to care about our branch minister? Sima Xiangshan said faintly. Cough, cough. Whose voice is louder than mine? They're here. Han Bingning's expression was ice cold. Get ready to move. Kong Yu secretly shook her head. Tang Tian's battle tactics were obviously not the same as Onyx Soul's. Although they were separated by a distance, her eyesight was astonishing, and she saw the battle clearly. A lady snorted and the temperature of the entire square suddenly dropped. Everyone was aghast, and turned to look, only to see a lady like an ice mountain, with her eyebrows lowered, holding on her sword, surrounded by killing intent. Huh, it's a pity you're not handsome enough, Sima Xiangshan faintly added. And his strength was actually so valiant, for figures flew quickly across the rooftops. Liang Qiu's indifferent voice was filled with confidence, his feet on the pointed loft, his body did not move an inch. But when he grinned foolishly, his eyes liked to widen, an indescribable sense of humor. When the subordinates heard this, their mouths became dry. The minister's mind was unpredictable, temperamental. When he looked calm, it was usually the precursor to an explosion. He didn't dare to hide anything and told her everything that had happened. Kong Yu listened quietly. Her expression did not change. The scolding from the square was incessant, but Tang Tian ignored it, bent down, and casually pulled up a rope. The rope was tied to Playboy. He did not know. What exactly is going on? Thinking of her brother, a trace of killing intent flashed past her eyes. She will definitely find the murderer who killed her brother. Shangguan Qian swallowed his saliva with difficulty. It was not that he had not seen the world before. When Miss was around, her thunderous methods often made him gasp in surprise. But now, compared to Tang Tian, he suddenly felt that, compared to young Master Tian, Miss's methods were much gentler. The crowd instantly scolded. All of them wanted to tear Tang Tian alive. But Tang Tian's move was indeed effective. No one dared to touch Uncle Qian and the rest. You think he's handsome? That's enough to prove the problem, Sima Xiangshan faintly added. Everyone was stunned. Voila! Tang Tian's complacent voice could be heard clearly in the square. The situation was not good. The subordinates lowered their heads, not daring to breathe loudly, cold sweat dripping down. But what shocked her even more was the unfamiliar young man who defeated Hui Yingguang. After all, she had been stationed at a mortal constellation mountain for many years, and knew a thing or two about the youths of a mortal constellation mountain. Another person shouted loudly, Tang Tian, what conditions do you have? State them. Don't fall into a hopeless situation. Suddenly, she saw a Maori and the rest, thought of something, and asked, You said he came with a Maori and the rest? Wah, you guys are right. Tang Tian put his hands on his waist and laughed to the sky. Humph. The guards below all wanted to go forward, but were afraid that Tang Tian would take the opportunity to harm their own young master. Tang Tian was extremely pleased, but thinking about how this bunch of people actually dared to point fingers at him, and Tang Tian's face darkened. The group of guards suddenly narrowed their eyes. Another expert. Tang Tian was indeed not handsome, with short hair and thick eyebrows. His face still had the tenderness of a young man, but there were already distinct edges. His eyes were not big, not concealing his unruliness. When he squinted his eyes, it gave people a feeling of fierceness. Kong Yu's beautiful face revealed a trace of a playful smile. You guys think, by joining hands, you can force me to bow down? Chapter 115. Repeating the threatening words just now, Hong Jun was not much better than young Master Wang. His face was pale white, and immediately pointed out the accomplice who summoned him. His wild physique, his whole body bulging with muscles, was full of impact. Even looking at him from afar, he could feel that a Maori's body contained a strong power. And his gaze landed on the blade in a Maori's hand. The blade was old and shabby. Compared to a Maori's bull-like figure, it was very inconspicuous. Yin Di actually lost the courage to step forward. Yin Di was shocked. The speed of the sword was not fast, but the temperature was extremely cold. The sword aura had not reached his body. Between his eyebrows, there was already a layer of frost. The surrounding air was bone-piercing cold. Tang Tian could not be bothered with the people below. He turned his face and asked Shangguan Wei, Who is Hong Jun? Other than a Maori, the one who had the biggest improvement was her. The young lady in front of him had a beautiful appearance. Her temperament was cold, as though she was not tainted by the mortal world. Furthermore, her coldness and Shanghai's coldness looked similar. But in actual fact, they were very different. Yindi had seen countless women. His eyes were sharp. Chia, Shanghai's coldness, had a deep sense of pride. It was just that she hid it very well. But the lady in front of him was pure coldness. Mingyong's background was not ordinary. He was knowledgeable. With one look, he could tell the broken blade in a Maori's hand was a star treasure. Under the shock, he activated his true power. The long sword in his hand welcomed the silver sword aura that Han Bingning had thrusted out and thrusted out. Young Master Wang's face revealed a look of hesitation. Mingyong took a deep breath, took a step forward, and punched out. In Starwind City, although Han Bingning was also an expert, his ranking was lower than Sima Xiangshan's. But now, Han Bingning's strength surpassed Sima Xiangshan's. The Misty Cloud Sword was the sword technique that Yin Di was most proficient in. The highest level that it could be cultivated to was the 7th level. Yin Di had cultivated it to the 5th level, making him outstanding amongst the disciples of the Yun family. The sword intent of this technique was faintly discernible, ethereal to the extreme, and it used the void to break the real. Furthermore, the style of the Misty Cloud Sword was elegant and at ease. Yin Di was already handsome to begin with, so the two complemented each other, earning him the title of Misty Cloud Prince. One by one, they were dragged up, slapped awake, threatened, and testified against. Suddenly, he felt like he was in an icy plain, the cold wind whistling. The guards, who originally thought that they were about to make a comeback, suddenly discovered that the 4 experts were all blocked. A ray of silver sword gleam pierced towards Yin Di like an ice snake. This blockhead, who the hell is he? So strong. The guards below gradually quietened down. They could also see the clues. But today, he met his nemesis. When Tang Tian heard this, he broke into a smile. The 2 sword lights collided. Tang Tian's gaze, which harbored ill intentions, swept across young Master Wang's body. A Maori roared out in anger. The blade lights were concentrated like rain. Pa pa pa. A faint mist appeared on the blade of his sword. The sword intent was faintly discernible and ethereal. The guards in the plaza, upon witnessing this scene, were so shocked that they could not speak. Mingyong was Jun Akiko's younger brother, but his martial techniques were extremely famous in Immortal Constellation Mountain. No one would have thought that he would actually be suppressed by a blockhead. An incomparably cold chill came from the sword hilt. His palms were almost numb. He lowered his head to look. The mist on the blade had actually all turned into tiny ice particles and fell from the blade. Aoi Yudhua was awoken by a few slaps and looked at the grinning Tang Tian, as well as the pairs of eyes that wanted to tear him into pieces. Yindi only felt that the surrounding air had suddenly dropped a few degrees and could not help but shiver. A tall person who was hiding in the dark was a little surprised. Honorable Martial Alliance newcomers? Their abilities are quite good, and they're also young. They will have a bright future. With another big stride, the blade light was like a river, and it struck head-on. It was a very simple movement, but it gave people a feeling of extreme comfort. Oh, Tang Tian nodded his head and casually pulled this young Master Wang over. Pa pa pa. A few slaps, and immediately the unconscious young Master Wang woke up. The Hongjun guards' faces changed, and they raised their voices. Young Master Wang, our young master and you are like brothers. You cannot falsely accuse our young master. However, Amauri was a little impatient. Hey, if you don't want to go, then I will. The golden transparent fist mark, without any fancy moves, collided with a Maori's yellow blade light. The mustached man stared at the scene. So, the plan has failed? Attack? A tall person glanced at him. Do you want us to publicly become enemies with the Honorable Martial Alliance now? This set of water sword technique was specially made for women to practice, and it was quite powerful. The most important thing was that it was very compatible with Han Bingning's character, and her progress was very fast when she practiced. Liang Xiao and Sima Xiangshan also made great progress. Liang Xiao's fighting style was more stable and mature, and there was not a trace of flaw. Sima Xiangshan's fighting style was completely opposite, and he was extremely gloomy, like a ghost, and unpredictable. I'm only afraid that Tang Tian will not wait until the arrival of Master. The mustached man smiled bitterly. Ming Yong retreated again and again. A tall person also revealed a bitter smile. We can only hope that Master will arrive soon. Tang Tian was not too surprised at Amaury's improvement. Housefly Cao was extremely talented, and his body was unparalleled. In addition to his hard work and the great teacher's inheritance, it was very normal for him to have such strong abilities. Very quickly, all the clues pointed to one person, the last person who was unconscious. The guards below were in a commotion. They recognized this person. Mingyang's expression changed. Amaury's blade did not have many changes, but it was extremely wild. The blade light seemed to be scattered, but in reality, it was condensed and did not dissipate. Truly a peerless beauty. Han Bingning's expression suddenly turned cold. Her left hand slid down the blade, and her right hand touched the hilt. Unknowingly, there was a layer of frost under her feet. The two of them looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Young Master Wang's face revealed a look of shame. The lake in her heart quietly reflected the figure of the young man standing at the top of the lamppost. When she realized it, she was shocked. Why would she have such a thought? Tang Tian, indeed, did not have the intention to continue wasting his time. He stretched out his body and shouted, "Shangwan Wei, come up." Shangwan Wei was startled. He immediately climbed up the lamppost and very quickly reached Tang Tian's side. "Son-in-law, I can finally let you see my improvement." Ming Yong looked at Amaury in front of him. His expression was solemn. But what really surprised Tang Tian was Han Bingning. And this guy's strength was really great. Young Master Wang's face turned white again. He blurted out, "Hong Jun called me." He took a step forward. His aura changed. His beard and hair stood up in anger. His manic state was revealed. He bellowed and slashed towards Ming Yong. The mustachioed man frowned. "Should we make a move?" Shangwan Wei's face turned green. His eyes were about to spit fire. "It's Aoi Yuzawa from House Yu. Take my knife. Take my knife. Take my knife." Was Amaury practicing the wild earth knife? It was really powerful. Tang Tian could feel that Mo Li's seemingly wild and messy blade intent was condensed into one, and its power was strong. Even he had to be alert when facing Amaury's knife. Young Master Wang. Shangwan Wei was a little confused, but he was very familiar with these people. "Tang Tian, my house Wang will not coexist with you." Young Master Wang's guards were inexplicably sad and angry. They roared, but did not dare to step forward. Young Master Wang, who was still in a daze, suddenly shivered. He was so scared that his face turned pale. He said incoherently, "No, no, no. This is just a misunderstanding, a small misunderstanding." Amoli laughed out loud. "Hey, take another strike from me." Yindi was shocked and afraid. Han Bingning in front of him was still like an ice mountain. The expression on her face did not change at all. Her eyes were lowered. She did not look charming at all. Han Bingning spat out two words, her lowered eyebrows suddenly revealing a cold intent. That knife was a secret treasure. Ming Yong retreated again. Tang Tian said coldly, "You only have one chance. If you point wrongly, I will cut off the finger you pointed at." Tang Tian smiled happily. Everyone was working hard. Tang Tian asked Shanghai Wei, "Who is he?" "Damn it." "Very good." Tang Tian nodded his head solemnly. "I also feel that this is a misunderstanding. Then I will give you a chance. Tell me, who brought you here?" The yellow knife aura expanded and engulfed everything. All of a sudden, he felt like he was a lamb that had been washed clean and shaved, thrown into a pack of wolves that were so hungry that their eyes were green with greed. "Take my knife again." He did not come with good intentions, and his eyes were lowered. The way he stood with the sword in his hand, his heroic spirit had a tinge of gentleness. He actually felt his mouth was dry. At this time, Shanghai Wei already understood Tang Tian's thoughts. He was excited. Yindi's face changed. He retreated without hesitation. "Master will be here soon," a tall person said. "Let's not complicate matters. Immortal Constellation Mountain's movements are all planned by Master. Let's leave everything to Master. I have yet to ask for Mrs. Name. Yindi's eyes flashed with surprise. Shanghai Wei seemed to have awoken from a dream. He immediately pulled Hong Jun up from the air. A few slaps woke Hong Jun up. Han Bingming did not seem to hear anything. She did not even bat an eyelid. Tang Tian casually pulled a playboy up. Who is this guy? Han Bingming also trained in water element sword techniques. But it was no longer the rain bell. Instead, it was the glacier plane. Everyone looked at Aoi Yuzawa. Their gazes darkened. They were all hedonistic. They were not good at fighting, but they were used to scheming against each other. At this time, if anyone still did not understand, they would be stupid. Her improvement was only second to a Maori. Did you hear that? Tang Tian pulled young Master Wang over. He said fiercely, "Your underlings are saying that your Wang family and I are irreconcilable enemies. Why not? Let me make the first move." Mingyong's body shook. The glass-like fist seal crumbled. A wave of tyrannical, true power drilled into his body. Mingyong groaned. He retreated a few steps. Only then did he dissipate the true power. Yin family's water element sword technique, Misty Cloud Sword. Yin Di was an expert in dealing with women. He immediately noticed it. His mind swayed. He blurted out, "Miss, you are so beautiful." Mingyong punched out again. He retreated again. A blush quietly spread on her neck. Chapter 116. Countless roars gathered into a sound wave, bringing with it a terrifying power, sweeping across the entire square, sweeping across everyone's heart. The young man standing on top of the lamppost grinned, revealing his snow-white teeth. His voice echoed across the square, as if he was giving a judgment, firm and unquestionable. Using force to humiliate others is not what a man should do. Hui Yingguang squeezed out this sentence. Tang Tian took a deep breath and shouted, "House Shangguan." Looking at Tang Tian's smug expression, Hui Yingguang wanted to tear Tang Tian into pieces. "If I win, you're my captive," Tang Tian said matter-of-factly. "How I want to deal with my captive? That's my own business. I don't need the captive's permission." Shanghai Wei panicked. He didn't expect these two to be so eloquent. They just thought they exposed the conspiracy against House Yu. And in the blink of an eye, they wanted to turn the tables. Everyone immediately broke free from the sad atmosphere created by Aoi Yuzawa. In their eyes, Tang Tian's smile was extremely vicious. "Those mysterious masters, they will not let you go." "Boss!" Unknowingly, Yaya crawled out, smoothly climbing onto Tang Tian's shoulder, its little face flushed red, excitedly using its little bow to hit its own breastplate. Aoi Yuzawa's expression changed, shouting in fear, "You can kill me, but you can't humiliate me." But the guy in front of him was so steady that it made people despair. Even though it didn't have any weird moves, it was like flowing water, continuous and full of strength. He couldn't get rid of it at all. The young masters on the lamppost all showed a distressed expression. They felt that Eugene Hong's words were exactly what they were thinking. Behind them, angry roars were like waves. How Shangguan's disciples suddenly moved. Tang Tian shook his head. Too soft. Eugene Hong cursed in his heart. If the truth was revealed today, House Yu would definitely become the target of everyone. Tang Tian, just you wait. House Yu will never let you go. Tang Tian turned around and looked at the young masters. Why aren't you screaming?" Tang Tian grabbed Hui Yingguang's hand. But right now, he couldn't care less about anything else. He took the chance to distance himself and shouted, "Tang Tian, don't you dare fray my House Yu. The grudges between House Yu and House Shangguan are never taboo. That was a family grudge, but today it's a personal grudge. Zai Qing and I have admired Miss Chie for a long time, but we know that we are not worthy of Miss Chie, so we can only drown our sorrows in wine. Everyone, is there anything wrong with this heart and this sentiment? How are we different from all of you? The heart of every punch, heaven and earth can bear witness. Today's battle is only for one thing. How can a vulgar person like Tang Tian be worthy of Miss Chie?" Everyone was deeply shocked by this incomparably domineering declaration. No one, under the watchful eyes of so many people, in front of so many enemies, dared to say something like this. Behind Tang Tian, those young masters were all shocked to the point that their faces turned pale. Even Jun Akiko, Yun Yao, and the others looked at Tang Tian in disbelief. Even Hui Yingguang, with his unruly face, was stunned by Tang Tian's words. All the Shangguan disciples' faces were flushed red. The boiling blood in their bodies was like a raging fire, burning every nerve in their body. As if it was instinct, everyone raised the weapons in their hands, used all their strength, and roared, "Shangguan House!" Tang Tian showed an unsatisfied expression. "Did you not eat? Louder! Whoever dares to be so quiet, I'll throw him down from here." So this is the self-abandonment after being raped. Bastard! Who said rape just now? The huge square was dead silent. Tang Tian looked satisfied, waving his hand. "Not bad, not bad. You're under my protection from now on." "Very good. I like people with integrity." Tang Tian clapped his hands. "Strip him." But he knew that the situation was urgent. No matter what, he could not let Tang Tian be convicted of the crime. "Brother Guang, I'm sorry." The previous situation was hopeless. Every Shangguan disciple's emotions were suppressed to the lowest point. Their hearts were filled with anger, fear, and despair. There had never been a day like today, when the Shangguan family became everyone's enemy. There had never been a day like today, when the Shangguan family was besieged on all sides. There had never been a day like today, when they were fearless even if they had to go against the entire world. Son-in-law, when Liang Qiu was really angry, he was quite terrifying. Tang Tian shouted. His voice reverberated in the square and in everyone's hearts. "Brother Guang, when you're under someone else's roof, you have to lower your head." Tang Tian narrowed his eyes. "I don't care who you are, which family you belong to. I don't care what you think either. I don't care how powerful you are, I don't care either. I don't know much, and I don't know much either. But I've never been afraid of battle. Anyone who dares to go against me must be prepared to suffer my wrath and counterattack." Everyone revealed a sorrowful expression, feeling the same, many of their eyes turning red. "Those who don't fight, humph." Tang Tian sneered. Aoi Yuzua's face was ashen, his heart filled with grief and anger, his body cold. Countless people's sympathetic and mocking gazes gathered on him. He wanted nothing more than to find a hole to hide in. Eugene Hong's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he watched, but he was pestered tightly by Liang Qiu. The usually calm Liang Qiu was enraged this time. Eugene Hong actually turned the tables in front of him. It was all his fault. Hui Yingguang didn't even have the desire to speak. "When that time comes, I will return the humiliation I suffered today 100-fold. Aoi Yuzua calmed down. He pretended to be angry. "That's right. I was the one who pushed for this. I won't accept it. I'll take responsibility for my own actions. If you have any tricks, come at me. I'll die for Miss Chia. I'll die a worthy death." The young masters were like frightened lambs, rushing forward and stripping Aoi Yuzua clean. "Bo, boss." He squeezed out these two words from between his teeth. So, everyone's expression changed. "Target house you. From today onwards, I'm your boss." Tang Tian waved his hand. "All right, call me boss. Kill. House you must I target house you." It was like a raging torrent, unstoppable. Wasn't he afraid of being surrounded? It was like the resonance of the zither, low and deep. Tang Tian finally showed a satisfied expression, but he noticed one person, Hui Yingguang, who was still tied up. This guy's mouth was tightly shut. Eugene Hong looked even worse. His hair was disheveled. A trickle of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Tang Tian pushed aside the guards like a big bird. He flew down, landing steadily in front of the Shangguan disciples. Hui Yingguang almost spat out a mouthful of blood. If he wasn't tied up, he would definitely slap the guy who said rape. "House you must die. Kill me if you want to." Hui Yingguang's eyes were about to spit fire. Liang Qiu's expression froze. He snorted coldly, hugged his palms, and slowly pushed outwards. His movements were extremely slow, as if it was very strenuous. His clothes bulged, and the air around him seemed to have stopped flowing. Strip him. Whoever doesn't want to do it, think carefully. Tang Tian waved his hand. The young masters who had already succumbed to Tang Tian's tyranny could only bite the bullet and step forward. Shanghai Wei didn't say anything. He wanted to rush forward, but was stopped by Tang Tian. Tang Tian pointed at the others. Let them come, other than Hui Yingguang, untie the others. Tang Tian pointed at Aoi Yuzua. Strip him naked. Wasn't he afraid of making more enemies? Hui Yingguang also went all out. He closed his eyes and shouted angrily, Boss! Wait! Liang Xiao let out a groan, his feet sinking into the ground, the soles of his feet completely sinking into the ground, his clothes scattering like butterflies. He retreated 10 steps, each step leaving a clear footprint. Shangwan Wei untied the ropes on the young masters. No matter what Eugene Hong did, even if it was a killer move like just now, he couldn't get rid of Liang Xiao. Tang Tian's eyes were cold. He spat out one word and took the lead. Tang Tian looked down from a high vantage point. Looking at the dense crowd below, he grinned, but his words made everyone unable to laugh. Even young Miss couldn't do this. Wang, house you must die. Guang bro, life is like rape. You can't fight back. You can only enjoy it. Countless angry roars raged, raging like waves. Eugene Hong's eyes flashed fiercely. He made a circle with his hands, his 10 fingers like playing a pipa, suddenly plucking at the same time. Even Hui Yingguang, who was behind Tang Tian, couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. The young masters were like frightened bunnies as they hurriedly shouted, Boss! The young masters used all their strength, shouting loudly, all of their necks flushed red. The young masters all kept quiet out of fear. After shouting this sentence, Hui Yingguang felt humiliated and relieved at the same time. This feeling was really similar to the legendary rape. Bastard! Who said rape just now? Hui Yingguang's face changed. He roared angrily. You dare! Kill! The young masters looked at each other. The two forces collided with each other. At this time, Tang Tian's steely voice came from above. Tang Tian was speaking to the entire square. Die a worthy death? Tang Tian grinned. Very good. The suppressed emotions were instantly ignited. Shanghai Wei was also shocked by Tang Tian's words, but then he felt something in his heart ignited. He clenched his fists tightly. What was that trembling feeling that made his body numb? What was that burning feeling that made his blood vessels burn? What was going on? What was that feeling that even if he died with the young master, he wouldn't have any regrets? What was going on? The crowd in the square involuntarily gave way. They were silent, their gazes mixed with too much shock and fear. In a moment of desperation, Hui Yingguang shouted. Everyone's gaze focused on him. He felt as if his face was burning. Tang Tian raised his leg, one foot stepping on the railing at the edge of the lamppost. His arrogant gaze swept across the crowd below. He slowly raised his right fist. The green fornax flame that was enveloped in the glove was flickering like a burning torch in the night, attracting everyone's gaze. But when everyone's hands touched his clothes, Hui Yingguang's scalp instantly went numb. Thinking that he would really be stripped naked like Aoi Yuzua, he shuddered. Tang Tian grinned. Why wouldn't I dare? Chapter 117. Tang Tian disappeared from the gap almost instantly. The martial artists on the archery tower exclaimed. They threw away their bows and jumped down from the archery tower. But they were very clear that although Master was interested in the Perseus crown, he was also responsible for many other tasks. Master could not invest too much power in this, which meant that the plan was ruined. Eugene Hong was shocked, but he did not have time to react. He felt a pain in his chest, and his pupils suddenly froze. In the next moment, he appeared on an archery tower. With a roar, he punched a thick wooden pillar that supported the archery tower. A tall person also frowned. This guy is not simple. Look, under such a situation, he can actually turn the tables. He is not as reckless as he appears. Yun Yao and Hui Yingguang were silent. The other two understood tacitly. They had heard about House Yu having a mysterious backer. Tang Tian's body froze. Let's just wait and see. Jun Akiko sighed softly. Fortunately, we are the ones who suffered this time. Although it is embarrassing, it will not affect the clan. Suddenly, a faint voice drilled into his ear. It was so demonic that it made people suffocate. What should we do? The man with the handlebar mustache looked at a tall person. The martial artists on the archery tower looked at the crowd from afar. Their scalps went numb, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. Suddenly, a cold aura locked onto Tang Tian. Use your brain. Use your brain. With Tang Tian's level 5 true power, activating the Great Avalanche was completely effortless. Han Bingning cruised beside Tang Tian, drawing his sword, and never missed. A lion leading a flock of sheep was enough to tear a flock of wolves apart. Furthermore, the Shangwan clan was not sheep. The Yu clan was on the verge of collapse. The log that was as thick as a wash basin was instantly broken, and countless wood shavings flew everywhere. The arrows fell like rain. Tang Tian's bravery was definitely the most they had ever seen. However, what happened next caused their limbs to turn cold. Aoi Yuzawa and Eugene Han's lies could fool most people, but not the three of them. Yu Mingwei's eyes burst with dazzling light. He blurted out in surprise, "He's here." Sima Xiangshan smiled innocently. Amauri and Ice Beauty Han could have both left. If we're any later, we won't even get any leftovers. Liang Qiu harumphed coldly and disappeared in a flash. Rumble. Even the weakest among them was at least a third-order martial artist. Their arrows were wrapped in a faint light, and their power was astonishing. Tang Tian did not know any battle tactics at all. Bing was cursing and swearing in his mind and never stopped. His occupational disease made him unable to restrain himself when he saw Tang Tian rushing around without a plan. Tang Tian's thinking was very simple. He couldn't leave a future trouble for the Shangwan family. Can't you see that this is a good entry point? Don't you have eyes? The air in front of him seemed to be suddenly compressed into a wall of air. The arrows that hit the wall of air seemed to be frozen and could not move an inch. In the next moment, the wall of air and the arrows that were stuck in it were like an avalanche and turned into countless pieces. Unknowingly, there was a bloody hole in his chest. What made people palpitate the most was the pair of scarlet eyes. Jun Akiko nodded. This battle is very important to the situation of our immortal constellation mountain. Tang Tian, who was running wildly, was like a rhinoceros running with all its might. He suddenly raised his fist and punched out. Tang Tian's pupils constricted. "We can't let the Yu clan perish like this," a tall person said decisively. "Whatever happens next, leave it to Master. We will protect the Yu clan first. The Yu clan is doomed this time." Jun Akiko had a complicated expression. This Tang Tian is not simple. With his help, the Shangwan clan will definitely prosper for 300 years. If the Yu clan perished, all their plans in Immortal Constellation Mountain would be ruined. They had treated the Yu clan this way, and the other clans would not be tempted by them. Without the help of the local powers, it meant that they needed to invest more power in order to achieve the desired results. The low whooshing sound of the air breaking instantly surged out like a tide. Most of the arrows were shot towards Tang Tian. They understood that Tang Tian was the leader of the enemy. As long as he was killed, then they would be victorious. Hundreds of angry arrows were released. Tang Tian was like a ferocious tiger, and no one could stop him. Amauri was also fighting crazily. His blade was like the wind, and he slashed continuously. No one was a match for him. Good. The hesitation on the mustache man's face disappeared. They did not expect that Tang Tian would actually choose to initiate the attack. To them, Qi Shangwan was not around. The Shangwan clan would definitely not dare to provoke the other clans. Sima Xiangshan chuckled and disappeared as well. Great avalanche. On the lamppost, Jun Akiko, Yin Yao, and Hui Yingguang were gathered together. Ming Yong, Yin Di, and Hui Yinshan flew up the lamppost. Seeing that the three of them were unharmed, they were relieved. Closer, closer, and closer. He and Xie would eventually have to go to Heaven's Road. It would be a dangerous journey, and no one could predict what would happen in the future. The two of them suddenly disappeared. Yu Mingwei's face was green, but he took a deep breath. Wait a little longer. Clan leader, an elder shouted anxiously. Seeing the Yu clan disciples being cut up like vegetables, he was burning with anxiety. Hui Yingguang snorted, his eyes filled with killing intent. Damn the Yu clan. I'll go kill Aoi Yuzawa. Liang Qiu stared coldly at Sima Xiangshan and did not say a word. He had to wait a little longer. Following that was another loud sound. It was a Maori who did the same thing, chopping off the supporting pillar of another watchtower. That's right. Tang Tian's background is not simple either. Ming Yong said in a low voice. These masters, it's impossible for them to have no background at all. Tang Tian had offended almost all the clans today. How would he dare to attack House Yu at this time? Wasn't he afraid that others would attack Shangwan clan's nest? Wasn't he afraid that everyone would gang up on him? Tang Tian did not listen to them. He was already in a frenzy. Not only him, all the Shangwan disciples were in a frenzy. If they took action, of course they could protect House Yu, but this would mean a direct conflict with the Honorable Martial Alliance. But if they did not do anything, today would be the day of House Yu's destruction. Tang Tian stomped on the ground, and his speed increased. Like a cannonball, he broke away from the archers and appeared below the wall. The shouts were filled with panic. House Yu was in a mess. No one would have thought that Shangwan clan would really dare to start a war with them. Xie Shangwan was not here. How dare they? Are we going to watch the battle? Yin Yao raised his head and asked. It's not that simple. Yin Yao lowered his voice and said, House Yu has no backing. How would they dare to do this? Now let's see if the backing of House Yu is willing to take action. The fist that was covered in green flames sunk into the green stone, like punching a piece of tofu. But what attracted more attention was the spirit general beside a tall person who was emitting a cold aura. Eugene Hong was panicking. He did not think that Tang Tian would be so unpredictable. Yun Yao shook his head. He's already dead. That creepy guy did it. He killed Aoi Yuzawa, then went to kill Eugene Hong. Now is not the time to think about this. The mustached man frowned. If we don't take action, House Yu will definitely be destroyed. I can't think of anyone in House Yu who can stop him. Moreover, he has 4 helpers. He raised his head. Not far away, a tall person was staring at him. Shangwan clan's morale was at its peak. House Yu was definitely not a match for Shangwan clan. House Yu was in danger. Only House Yu would have the idea to attack Shangwan clan. Hui Yingguang said expressionlessly, Shangwan clan is the #1 clan in Immortal Constellation Mountain. Misty is also the #1 in Immortal Constellation Mountain. Ka. But they did not expect that Tang Tian, who came out of nowhere, was so fierce and did not play by the rules. Even if he had to leave a beautiful future for Shangwan clan. Even if he had to leave without any worries. A tall person showed hesitation. The fate of the 2 of them could be imagined. Tang Tian's helpers are very strong. Yin Di chimed in. He had been beaten on the head by a woman today, but he did not lose his temper at all. Countless footsteps converged into an unstoppable flood. Close the door. Quickly close the door. Ming Zichun sighed lightly. This time we have truly suffered a huge setback. We have lost a lot of face. When House Yu was built, they never thought that House Yu would be attacked. Why are you still struggling? Idiot. Rushing to a place with a lot of people. Do you think you're not dying fast enough? Tang Tian took a deep breath, and the true power in his body surged to the maximum. He stared angrily, and with a roar, he punched the wall made of limestone. Rumble, rumble. I'm afraid it's a big power. Wei Yinshan nodded. There was no threat above their heads, and everyone's morale was boosted. It was the first time he saw a spirit general with such a body. The spirit general in front of him was not the usual translucent gray glaze, but real flesh and blood. Dressed in a black martial attire, his exposed skin was gray, and Tang Tian could even see the lines of his muscles. His gray hair was like a ball of gray flame. Pooh! A second later, the wall in front of him crumbled like snow and turned into countless of small gravel, falling down in torrents. In front of him, there was a 2-meter-wide square gap, as though someone used a sword to chop off a piece of the wall. Damn it! This filled the hearts of the three prideful people with a sense of defeat. The arrow tower that was missing a leg made a teeth-numbing sound and started to tilt. These arrow towers were usually not used and were very simple and had not been maintained for a long time. Beside him, the experts of House U were gathered, and this was the last strength of House U. The arrow tower that was seriously out of balance suddenly collapsed, and dust filled the air. The three of them were self-proclaimed leaders of the younger generation, but compared to Tang Tian, they realized that they were not on the same level. "Ready," one of the House U's guards said with a trembling voice, but at this time, he knew that it was a crucial moment, and roared, "Release!" But the Liang Xiao in front of him was pestering him, and he could not get away. "Go!" Hui Yingguang gritted his teeth. "Why not? I want to see how capable he is." Every hit seemed to knock on their hearts. Chapter 118. I am an idiot. To drag everyone down with me? Tang Tian's gaze was fixed on the gray spirit general and turned a deaf ear to a tall person. Tang Tian's sneak attack was intercepted by Huichi. Are we going to die like this? Are we going to give up like this? Are we going to fail like this? Are we going to die with so many people? A tall person's face was extremely ugly. He stared at Tang Tian. His face was gloomy and said word by word, "Possessed." Fornax. A tall person's mouth revealed a mocking smile. "Are you responding to my call?" Before he finished speaking, a figure flashed in front of him, and a fierce chi enveloped him. "Ha!" The extremely dense sound of legs and palms colliding was so oppressive that it was hard to breathe. "Kill. Leave no one alive." "Pa pa pa pa." A shadow of a leg, without any warning, appeared in front of Huichi's vision. Huichi did not have time to react and was hit by the leg. Jing Hao's long whistle came from afar, and in the blink of an eye, he had arrived beside Tang Tian. "They are in danger." A Maori and Liang Xiao's roar sounded at the same time, mixed with Sima Xiangshan's groan. Huichi slowly walked towards Tang Tian. "Is that all you have?" A tall person was slightly disappointed. "That's too disappointing. My Huichi is a growth-type spirit general. Show me your strength, and let my Huichi learn something and become stronger." He blocked it. A tall person shook his head and sighed. "Huichi was born to fight. Although you're not weak, but compared to Huichi, you are still lacking." Failed. The Fornax Gauntlet's martial spirit felt Tang Tian's will and call. His vision darkened, and Huichi appeared before him. "Huichi, kill him." A piece of the Fornax Gauntlet cracked and fell, but in the blink of an eye, it was burned and destroyed by the green flames. One by one, the fragments shattered and disappeared in the green flames. Huichi trembled like a sieve, but his arms suddenly became soft and boneless like snake whips, striking straight at Tang Tian's chest. The green flame on the Fornax Gauntlet fluttered and dimmed. Tang Tian slowly raised his head. His right arm was covered in green flames as he locked his gaze on Huichi. Tang Tian involuntarily clenched his fists, and his breathing became heavy. Huichi knelt on one knee and slowly stood up. There was a fist-sized hole in his chest. It was a shocking sight. A blurry figure appeared in the corner of Huichi's vision. "Pa pa pa." Bang. "Pa." The smile on a tall person's face turned cold. Tang Tian ignored him. His eyes flashed with a ruthless look, and his attacks were like a torrential storm. Not good. Tang Tian seemed to see, a few decades ago in the green flame, there was a rough embryo continuously being hammered and forged, the martial spirit awakening bit by bit, simple and plain, just like a gauntlet. Tang Tian's deformed face instantly became sinister. But for some reason, the joy in his heart quickly cooled down. The terrifying strength of the two masters caused him to feel fear. Even if they won this battle, from now on, the Yu clan would become the enemy's vassal. Tang Tian roared, his legs suddenly exerted strength. Sigh, his figure disappeared in the air. Suddenly, a groan drilled into his ears. With that, the Corona Borealis sword in his hand shone with a terrifying light, and went straight for the mustached man's spirit general, saving a Maori and the rest who were in imminent danger. 3 rays of moonlight, with a sharp whistle, flew straight towards Huichi. Huichi, who was in midair, used his elbows to smash the 3 rays of moonlight. An angry red finger force shot from below. Huichi's body bent strangely and narrowly avoided the finger. Huh. Tang Tian threw away the last bit of worry in his heart. His blood-red eyes were burning, and carefully placed the heavily injured blue peacock into the Aquarius Marshall cabinet. The 2 heavy blows just now. If not for the blue peacock's protection, he would have been heavily injured. This fist would not let you down. Bang, bang, bang. Ha! The Shangwan clan, who was in a bitter battle, quickly stabilized the situation. The 2 masters made a move and quickly turned the tides of the battle, causing Yu Mingwei to be overjoyed. Tang Tian, who was unstoppable just now, did not even have the strength to retaliate. And the other 4 combined forces were not the opponent of the other master. Huichi's face was calm. His palms were so fast that it was hard for the naked eye to catch, and his defense was flawless. Bang! Hu! Pa! Fornax! The vacuum ball shattered, pu, countless streams of air like knives enter Huichi's chest. The mud reached up to his knees. Han Bingning! Green flames spewed out and started to spread from the gloves all the way to his shoulders. Tang Tian's entire right arm was completely engulfed in the green flames. Brother Tang! Suddenly, a dazzling sword aura lit up the entire Yu clan. Like a torrential storm of attacks came from his palms, but Tang Tian could instinctively withstand it. The green flames engulfing Tang Tian's right arm became even more intense. Damn it! Huichi immediately felt the change, and without hesitation, he retreated, but a blurry shadow shot up from the ground, and countless of legs exploded in front of his eyes. Tang Tian was elated, but before he could react, an extreme sense of danger enveloped Tang Tian's heart, and he instinctively bent his elbow and flipped his palm. And the other martial artists who followed Jing Hao did not hesitate to enter the battle. Han Bingming looked deeply at Tang Tian, and without saying a word, he disappeared. An indescribable emotion filled Tang Tian's chest, and he almost cried. After this punch, the Fornax fist glove was no more. It burned all of its power. This spirit general, what rank is he? Why is he so strong? I didn't expect. You still forced us to make a move. A tall person slowly walked towards Tang Tian and sighed as he walked. To be honest, I'm very surprised. No matter how you look at it, it's quite surprising. On the surface of the glove, cracks started to appear. Absolutely not. And a cold chi wantonly destroyed in Tang Tian's body, and the true power in his body spent a lot of energy to dissolve this cold chi. Huichi's move was too fast, so fast that he could not catch it. A transparent vacuum ball was imprinted on his chest. Vacuum shock. Tang Tian's head buzzed. They came for him. They fought for him. But now they were in danger. Many details in the surroundings drilled into Tang Tian's ears. Shangwan Zhu's angry roar. Shangwan Wei's heavy breathing. A familiar scream. A tall person chuckled. How is it? My Huichi not bad, right? He's the same as you, an expert in close combat. The number of famous martial artists that died in his hands is not small. The concentrated sounds of collisions lingered on. A tall person's tone was regretful. Since you don't want to retreat, then I have nothing else to say. To be honest, you will regret this choice. A Maori's angry roar came into his ears. The angry roar suddenly exploded in Tang Tian's heart. The boiling hot liquid flowed through his entire body. Tang Tian felt his body being ignited. He was unable to differentiate the rank of the strange spirit general. The undulations released by the spirit general were completely different from ordinary spirit generals. The spirit general's strong aura made Tang Tian not dare to act blindly without thinking. Hearing that, Jing Hao did not waste any words. Be careful. But the 2 seemingly soft fists were surprisingly strong. Tang Tian's body swayed, and he retreated a few steps. Tang Tian flipped his palm and blocked the 2 fists. His face was in pain, his mouth was full of mud. Tang Tian's mind was at a loss. His heart was empty. He thought he had become very strong, But he did not expect that. He could not even withstand a single blow. "Is that all you have?" A tall person's voice was filled with regret. In Tang Tian's ears, it became unclear, as though it came from an extremely far place. "But it's good to be alive. Today is the day of the Shangguan family's destruction." With his intuition, he actually did not dodge it. Yu Mingwei finally played the last card in his hand. All the elites by his side suddenly attacked. The pain came, and Tang Tian's entire body immediately flew out, landing heavily on the ground, plowing out a deep trace of mud. Suddenly, his vision blurred. Tang Tian's pupils constricted. He snorted, lowered his waist into a horse stance, and bent his arms in front of his body to protect. Strength overflowed. A strong force came from his palms. His palms became numb, and Tang Tian's legs sunk, sinking into the mud. Bang! Tang Tian's true power, without holding back, poured into the gloves. Tang Tian's vision blurred, his chest was in pain, and his entire body flew out. In mid-air, Tang Tian forcefully stabilized his body, landed on the ground, and staggered, blood flowing out from the corner of his mouth. "Brother Jing, quickly go and help my friend." Tang Tian did not even turn his head. "I can handle this." Tang Tian's heart trembled, did not even turn his head, and said, "You go and help a Maori." A foot stepped heavily on his face, and his entire face sunk into the mud. Tang Tian's low voice was filled with determination and determination. Without any warning, the shadow of the leg was like a whip, suddenly taking advantage of the weakness of his arms. Tang Tian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his gaze fixed on Huichi. It had been a long time since he was in such a sorry state. Yaya angrily pounced towards Huichi, but was swatted away by Huichi like a fly. "No, I failed just like that." His silver eyes, which were firmly pressed into the mud, were suddenly filled with fresh blood, extremely red. Tang Tian stared fiercely at Huichi, not saying a word. His mind was blank, and he could not feel his arms. His arms were like wooden stakes, being hit continuously by a heavy wooden hammer, bit by bit into the mud. "I know you are a member of the Honorable Martial Alliance," a tall person said disapprovingly. "The Honorable Martial Alliance is a big force, and we do not want to be enemies with you. If you bring them back today, this matter will be." Huichi was like being hit by a sledgehammer, and he flew out horizontally. Tang Tian was struck by lightning, and his heart trembled. He knew that Han Bingning was an extremely strong woman. If she was not injured, she would not make such a sound. He had failed, a complete failure. There was no chance of winning at all. It turned out that he was so vulnerable in front of a true powerhouse. Huichi quickly waved his palms. Tang Tian's pupils were blood red, but it was completely different from Huichi's red. Tang Tian's blood-red pupils were like a blazing red flame, blazing and berserk. But Huichi's blood-red pupils were like a deep and unfathomable pool of blood, demonic and austere. When the last piece disappeared, the green flames raged, ostentatiously and unrestrained. Tang Tian's figure suddenly disappeared. Such a fast speed, such a strong power. His intuition towards danger was astonishing. The gray spirit general in front of him had a lingering sense of danger, causing all the hairs on his body to stand. The pair of demonic blood-red pupils did not have any emotions. Huichi's figure did not move an inch. He raised his palm, expressionlessly blocking Tang Tian's fist. Strength overflowed, and the sound of the fist and palm colliding was exceptionally loud. Combusting the martial spirit, all the power of the Star Treasure would burst forth. But this required the Star Treasure martial spirit to choose to combusting itself. Martial spirits already had intelligence, and they would instinctively reject self-destruction. Chapter 119. That's right, it is fusion. A tall person's tone did not conceal his pride. Our research on spirit cards far exceeds your knowledge. Huichi was born because of me, and returned to me. Hee, but if not for you, I would not have dared to try fusion. Its failure rate is too high. So I have to thank you. Tang Tian stared blankly at a tall person. The scene in front of him was completely beyond his knowledge. What? What exactly is going on? In Ghost Claw's eyes that were as deep as the night, a flame silently ignited. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew past. The skinny Ghost Claw quietly blocked in front of Tang Tian. He lowered his head to look at his palm. The palm that was burnt by the green flame had completely recovered. Clang! But your luck is better to meet this idiot. You see, you have a chance to appear again. How is it? You are very excited and looking forward to it. Your fire scythe Ghost Claw can once again create dazzling sparks in this world. You can fight again after accumulating for so many years. All the unwillingness, all the pride, can be released to your heart's content. Tang Tian suddenly stomped on the ground. The soil under his feet immediately exploded. Like rain droplets splattering in all directions, Tang Tian's figure disappeared. Too scary. What exactly is going on? The places that were burnt, not even ashes were left. Huichi, who was hugging a ball, rolled around in the green flame, howling miserably. Tang Tian was startled, but quickly reacted. Huichi, who was rolling around in the green flame, suddenly shot up with a long green flame tail. He entered a tall person's body. The green flame immediately enveloped a tall person's body. He became a green, flaming man. Whoosh! A tall person's wails became more and more mournful. A green flame, from his fingertips, ignited. His expression was filled with fear and despair. The green flame was like maggots, spreading from his fingertips. And Ghost Claw has this power. Every ray of light swept past. Ghost Claw's body congealed a bit more. Ghost Claw was as thin as a stick. His body was crooked. His face was expressionless. His eyes were as deep as the night. Now, Ghost Claw, who was like a statue in front of Tang Tian, suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were as deep as the night, and it was impossible to tell if he was happy or angry. You must fight with all your might. Bing! Tang Tian anxiously called out to Bing in his heart. Why are you not coming out? Ghost Claw alone is very dangerous. Bing lowered his head and quickly threw the spirit nucleus into Ghost Claw's body and said irresponsibly, No choice, I am not a battle-type spirit general. It's fine to deal with small fries, but I'll have to rely on you for this kind of big guy. Such a powerful and strange spirit general was rarely seen even in our era. Could it be a new technology? That was possible. But to make yourself look like neither a human nor a ghost, this kind of power, what's the value of it? The 7th level spirit nucleus contained a surge of spirit power. Every spirit nucleus entered Ghost Claw's body. A dazzling ripple lit up from Ghost Claw's feet along his body surface until it reached the top of his head. He suddenly raised his head, his eyes revealing a fanatical look. How is it? Are you moved? As long as you join us, you can obtain the power that you yearn for day and night. Ghost Claw disappeared like a gust of wind. Bing! Huichi's eyes flashed a look of fear, both his arms hugging his head, his body curled up into a ball. And the feeling that Ghost Claw in front of him gave him a very unusual feeling. The blood in his body was boiling, the blazing power seeping into every corner of his body. In our era, there were no such strange fellows. This world has progressed so much that I am somewhat at a loss. Instructors and these kinds of people are usually very inflexible. Poo-pee-you-pee-you. As though he was talking in a dream, he said, This is power. It really makes people intoxicated, making people unable to extricate themselves. From today onwards, I am called Huichi. A skinny figure appeared in front of Tang Tian. Pa! Bang! The transparent ball of light was like a soap bubble blowing, completely enveloping Huichi, and what was surprising was the color of the vacuum ball had a faint green color. A tall person's eyes flashed a trace of sternness, suddenly releasing a mournful scream. Awakened? Tang Tian was stunned. The unprecedented huge vacuum ball shattered. But you have so. Tang Tian held onto his knees, panting, eyes wide open, staring at Huichi who was rolling in the flames. At the same time, that punch gathered all of his strength. But the opponent was too strong. How could Ghost Claw fight him? His vision was blurry in the fast-flying wind. The green flames wrapped around his right arm, warm and strong. This punch will definitely not let you down. The skinny and tough 5 fingers that were like hooks staggered. The sound of the hooks rubbing against each other actually produced the sound of metal. Your spirit general better be stronger. If not, there is nothing to chew. I'm not interested in weak spirit generals. His intuition became clearer. Controlling the surging true power was not that difficult. His entire body was filled with endless power. Just based on his strength, Tang Tian felt that he could kill a bull with one punch. The tall man's blood-curdling screams suddenly became louder. His voice was mixed with intense pain, and his body trembled violently. The flesh on his body was like flowing mud, squirming. The scene was unspeakably terrifying. Such a pity they don't have it. Tang Tian suddenly roared, pouring all of his strength and conviction into his fist, accompanied by the sound of flames. He punched out. In the next moment, Tang Tian appeared beside Huichi. Suddenly, an astonishing aura, with a tall person as the center, suddenly swept in all directions. The dazzling light from the fire illuminated the blurry figure in front of him. The thin air blade entered Huichi's body, curling up into a ball. Huichi's body, like a sieve, trembled violently. In the martial spirit chamber, Bing's voice floated out. An even brighter light burst out, extremely glaring, reflecting Huichi's stunned face. It was Ghost Claw. Countless green flames spewed out from Huichi's body, rushing to the sky. Huichi's voice broke Tang Tian's train of thought. Since you are not willing to admit defeat, then I will let you see what is the strongest power that a spirit general possesses. Am I going to win? Tang Tian was stunned. The corner of his mouth exposed a cold smile. This was the first time Tang Tian entered the demonic state and did not lose control of himself. If it was any other time, he would definitely be pleasantly surprised by his current state. Bing's voice was resolute and decisive. The flames on a tall person's body slowly extinguished. His body, once again, was exposed in front of Tang Tian. A tall person's face actually became similar to Huichi's. The most eye-catching was the pair of blood-red pupils, which were exactly the same as Huichi and the gray skin. This fist will definitely not let you down. Tang Tian stared blankly at the skinny figure in front of him. 10 7th-level spirit nuclei. At that time, it cost Tang Tian a total of 1,000 points. If not for Bing's strong request, Tang Tian would not even bear to buy them. Ding! A tall person's laughter was hoarse and dry. I did not expect you to force me to this stage, but I have to thank you from the bottom of my heart. If not, how could I fuse with Huichi? The flames in the blood-red pupils burned wantonly. Tang Tian's fist solidly struck Huichi's body. Tang Tian's mind was blank after losing all his strength. Huichi's elusive dodge in Tang Tian's eyes for the first time became so clear. The smile on Bing's face disappeared. He looked at Ghost Claw seriously and said word by word, "Killing technique, vacuum shock." But at this time, his mental state was unprecedentedly focused. In the bright red pupils, there was only Huichi. In front of the gray fist, the 5 skinny fingers did not move an inch. Bring along your unwillingness. Bring along your pride, and fight. Bing's voice was filled with fatigue. I am not a battle-type spirit general. I am just an instructor. Rushing and killing is not my forte. But don't look down on Ghost Claw. I have awakened him. The sparks from the fire scythe Ghost Claw, you must definitely burn their eyes. Even in death, you are not willing. This time, I have paid a huge price. All of them are 7th-level spirit nuclei. Your strength can definitely be maintained at your peak. When you were alive, your peak was very short, although the remnants of your martial spirit is already very little. But I know you are still not willing. A Grandmaster Grade Claw technique, your original creation, the Fire Scythe Ghost Claw, actually became extinct, right? See? Shio. A tall person screamed. His entire body seemed to be hit by a powerless force and directly flew out. Fusion? Tang Tian stared at him in disbelief. Spirit General? Huichi was surprised, but immediately after, as if he had seen the most ridiculous thing, he laughed. What did I see? Spirit General? Ha ha! God, there is actually someone playing with spirit generals in front of me. Too funny. Isn't this showing off in front of an expert? Oh, isn't this a little rude? I'm sorry, I really can't help it. Ha ha! Bing raised his head. The face that was painted like a poker lingered with a faint sadness, but he revealed a smile. His 5 fingers were like claws, sweeping through the air. The claws rubbed against the air, lighting up 5 dazzling flames. Inside the green vacuum ball, Huichi's demonic red pupils, for the first time, revealed a look of panic. Everyone who witnessed this scene had a horrified expression on their faces. But at this time, the 7th-level spirit nucleus, as if it was free, was flicked into Ghost Claw's body by Bing. Bing's face revealed a smear of blood. He used force to pat Ghost Claw's shoulder. His eyes were wide open, as if he was encouraging those soldiers who were on the battlefield for the first time. He roared, "Go! Fight, Ghost Claw!" His voice was still floating in the wind. His figure had already disappeared. Countless thin air blades, from all directions, frantically surged towards Huichi. It must be Bing's trick, but why didn't Bing do it himself? This is my last chance to give you. A tall person's calm tone revealed a faint killing intent. Yes, the awakened Ghost Claw will be very strong. Although I do not know exactly what method the opponent is using, but I believe a martial technique that has been tempered hundreds and thousands of times will forever be the most fundamental power. Bing's voice was filled with confidence. Are you very excited? Bing muttered to himself. His tone gradually became gloomy, involuntarily mixed with a trace of sadness. If the group of assholes have such a chance, they will definitely turn the world upside down. Chapter 120. A ray of earthy yellow light, like a waterfall, descended from the sky. The sparks from the fire-scythe Ghost Claw must burn their eyes. With Tang Tian's current strength, against an ordinary 6th-level martial artist, he would not be at a disadvantage. But against Huichi, he did not seem to have any power to resist. What was Huichi's level? In Tang Tian's mind, he was at least at the 7th level. Tang Tian's spirit was suddenly roused. The 7th-level Ghost Claw, against the fused Huichi, both parties should be evenly matched. Every claw was extremely fast, as though it was gliding through the air, bringing forth a series of sparks. Tang Tian's strength had shocked her, and now that he had the inheritance of the fire-scythe Ghost Claw, his future was limitless, and she immediately had the intention to rope him in. What everyone could see was a dazzling ball of light, so bright that it could burn their eyes. The light dissipated, and the skinny, stooped figure was now emitting an unparalleled tyrannical chi. Among all the martial techniques, claw techniques were the weakest in terms of strength, but the fire-scythe Ghost Claw in Ghost Claw's hands was able to contend with Huichi in terms of strength. Huichi's strength was extraordinary, even stronger than Tang Tian, but no matter how much Huichi attacked, he could not advance an inch. Tang Tian was very quickly attracted by Ghost Claw's fire-scythe Ghost Claw. The Ghost Claw in front of him was upright without any ghost chi. But Tang Tian knew the fire-scythe Ghost Claw could similarly be filled with ghost chi. He had personally experienced it before. Such a pity, although Jing Hao's current strength was not as good as hers. But in the honorable group, his foundation was much stronger than hers. Unknowingly, this voice resonated in his mind. A charred and smooth tunnel from Ghost Claw's feet extended far away. Everything in this tunnel turned into ashes and disappeared. Don't you think it's weird? Actually, it's not weird. This is a true martial technique. Ghost Claw's true power was not considered strong, but he had created the fire-scythe Ghost Claw, and his attainments in claw arts were truly at the Grandmaster level. Regardless of whether it is an army that uses mechanical weapons, or the current Honorable Martial Alliance's Star Treasures, or this method of relying on spirit generals, the true deciding factor in a battle is still martial techniques. They saw an unforgettable scene. Her gaze fell on Huichi, who was roaring repeatedly, but she couldn't help but have a trace of surprise. When the light dissipated, Everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. The snow-white light reflected on everyone's faces, which were filled with shock and fear. Even strong ones like Kong Yu and Jing Hao were shocked by the dazzling light. Jing Hao was completely stunned. He saw with his own eyes how Tang Tian subdued Senior Ghost Claw's blue peacock. Senior Ghost Claw's spirit general actually appeared in front of him, and it was so strong Kong Yu, who was hiding in the dark, looked at the skinny figure, and her eyes lit up. When any kind of martial technique broke through to the Grandmaster level, it also meant that its power could break through the restrictions of the level. Sparks flew in front of them. Senior Ghost Claw's every claw was so pleasing to the eye. Everyone's gaze subconsciously looked towards the source of the chi. The barefooted man looked around, and when he saw Jing Hao, his eyes lit up, but when he saw the spirit general that Jing Hao was fighting, his eyes flashed with disgust. Everyone had yet to regain their senses from the barefooted man's shocking blade, when suddenly there was another strong chi that was not inferior to the previous blade. Dazzling, blazing, fast to the extreme, destroying everything. Huichi's roar was like that of a wild beast. His attack was like a raging sea, while Ghost Claw was like a reef. No matter how monstrous the waves were, they would definitely shatter when they hit it. But countless sparks flew in front of Tang Tian. In a flash, the dazzling light aura exploded, causing everyone's eyes to be snow white, and nothing could be seen. The strong and suffocating chi caused the snow white to be even more intimidating. Tang Tian and Ghost Claw had crossed hands before, and personally experienced the power of the Fire Scythe Ghost Claw, although at that time Ghost Claw's power was greatly reduced. But this made Tang Tian feel that every claw of Ghost Claw had an additional incomprehensible feeling. To use 5 fingers to rub against the air, to create sparks, the difficulty was obvious. Tang Tian's intuition was astonishing. Ghost Claw's 5 fingers swept through the air, causing ripples, and was caught by him. You must be unresigned, right? The scene in front of him gave Tang Tian a feeling that Ghost Claw was a cut above. Every claw was incomparably violent. It wasn't erratic, it wasn't strange, it was violent. Swift and powerful, and clashing head-on with Huichi, he did not seem to be at a disadvantage. The light aura of the 5 fingers, at an astonishing speed, became even more dazzling and incandescent. Ghost Claw's skinny body, as though it was cast from copper, did not move an inch. Ghost Claw's hands were astonishingly fast. Every claw would definitely bring about sparks. A look of admiration surfaced in her eyes. She had to admit, Senior Ghost Claw's comprehension of martial techniques was much stronger than hers. This was the first time she had witnessed such a superb claw technique. Lowering his elbow, his jet black, steel-like fingers slowly extended forward. He raised his right arm. The 5 fingers were like hooks, facing the direction where Huichi disappeared. Wait a minute. Tang Tian was stunned. A ray of dazzling lightning. What was Huichi's level after fusing? Ghost Claw also seemed to be stunned by this world-shocking blade. But following that, in his eyes that were as deep as the night, a flame was burning. He suddenly raised his head and let out a long whistle. The long whistle was sharp and piercing, but like smoke, it was continuous. The barefooted, burly man took out his blade and roared, "Chop!" Huichi was scared half to death by the barefooted, burly man's blade, and without hesitation, he turned and ran. Just at this time, suddenly, a barefooted, burly man with unkempt hair and a dirty face flew over from afar. The burly man's clothes were tattered, and he carried a broadsword on his back. Although it was fast, it was not hard to see with the naked eye. On the contrary, you would feel that every claw was extremely clear. Everyone's gaze once again converged on Tang Tian's body. As expected of a Grandmaster grade claw technique, the sparks from the fire scythe Ghost Claw, you must burn their eyes. Huh? The barefooted burly man was moved. He could not help but look over. Such a strong aura. Hearing that, Jing Hao's body froze, but in the next moment, he almost stumbled to the side. But it was these extremely clear fire scythe Ghost Claw that seemed to be able to easily block Huichi. Violent. With a cold snort, he bellowed, Little Jing Hao, get out of the way. These people would definitely become the honorable martial group's greatest enemies. Tang Tian's gaze was tightly locked. Ghost Claw's 5 fingers were shining with sparks. It was hard for him to describe this feeling. In the dazzling light, the jet-black hook-like 5 fingers suddenly grabbed. Bang! Why did I let you practice the martial technique bitterly over and over again? Because only by doing so can you grasp the essence of the martial technique. The other things, regardless of whether they're treasures, mechanical weapons, intuition, etc., the value of their existence, are all to better display the power of your martial technique. Senior Ghost Claw's 5 fingers swept through the air, forming ripples. It was rather unique. The ripples were extremely flat and fine, like the ripples of a pointed-bottom boat flying close to the surface of the water. She who had just stepped into the 8th level. In terms of true power, she was stronger than Ghost Claw, but if the two of them were to fight, she knew that she was definitely not Senior Ghost Claw's opponent. He was like an ordinary old man. With his back bent, he slowly and quietly walked to Tang Tian's side. Ghost Claw's power, Bing had said before, was 7th level. A few feet wide, a few miles long gorge, split the entire Yu clan into 2. This battle, you have to watch it well. A Grandmaster level claw technique is not something that could be easily seen. Only lightning could describe this ray of light. Ghost Claw's elbow did not move, his forearm slightly raised, his true power surging, his entire person emitting an astonishing aura. The ground beneath his feet started to crack at an alarming rate. As if he knew Tang Tian's doubts, Bing's voice sounded out in Tang Tian's mind. Tang Tian's eyes could not bear to move away. His right palm hooked his fingers, subconsciously imitating Ghost Claw's movements. She knew all the seniors and experts in the Honorable Martial Alliance like the back of her hand. The infamous Fire Scythe Ghost Claw, how could she not have heard of it? But seeing such a superb Fire Scythe Ghost Claw, she was dazzled. Ghost Claw slowly stood up, in his eyes that were as black as the night. The flames dissipated. But when Jing Hao appeared, she knew it was over. Even the barefooted burly man, his face congealed, his eyes revealed a look of shock. He exclaimed, "Fire Scythe, Ghost Claw." Kong Yu's face also revealed a look of shock. Senior Ghost Claw? Was he actually this strong? Tang Tian threw all thoughts of the battle out of his mind. In his eyes, there was only claw after claw, embedded in a ray of light. Ghost Claw's skinny figure was also engulfed by the light, unable to be seen clearly. Tang Tian could not judge. What he could tell was, after the fusion, Huichi was much stronger than before. He did not know if Senior Ghost Claw did it on purpose. His every claw made Tang Tian extremely mesmerized. It was as if every detail was clearly displayed in front of him. There was obviously nothing complicated, but it revealed an indescribable beauty and mystery. The current Huichi was much stronger than before, but even so, he still could not do anything to Ghost Claw. The earth quaked. Everyone felt as though they could not stand steadily. Their vision was filled with the trembling yellow blade aura. All of them were overwhelmed with shock. The Ghost Claw in front of him was so strong that Tang Tian felt unfamiliar. Pa pa pa. Her intention to rope him and disappeared, and she purely admired Ghost Claw's Fire Scythe Ghost Claw. Fire Scythe Ghost Claw's name was one of the top claw techniques of the Honorable Martial Group, and could be said to be very familiar, but it was the first time she saw it. Fire Scythe Ghost Claw. Tang Tian actually had Senior Ghost Claw's Spirit General. It seemed like he definitely obtained Senior Ghost Claw's martial spirit. No wonder she saw Tang Tian's armor was so familiar. It was the blue peacock. The dazzling light aura exploded from his 5 fingertips. The bright light aura shown on the skinny figure, his right claw, was completely immersed in the dazzling white light aura and could not be seen. Who would have thought they would actually achieve it? Was this the secret of Fire Scythe Ghost Claw? Chapter 121. He obviously snatched it. Jing Hao retorted, but the moment he said it, his face flushed red. Jing Hao's eyes twitched, his eyelids drooped, resisting the urge to roll his eyes. Curiosity, fear, respect, bewilderment. A wave of killing intent soared into the sky. causing everyone's expression to change. Wu Guang gritted his teeth. I'll do it for you now. He was almost 30 years old to be treated like that. Keep it. Wu Guang waved his hand and casually cupped his fists at Kong Yu. Thank you, Minister Kong. If there's anything in the future, just send a message to old Wu. So old. Especially when she saw Wu Guang's unfriendly gaze, she could only force a smile. It's their fortune to be recognized by the Heaven Shower Blade. I hope Master Wu can take care of them. Their talents are not bad. Jing Hao continued to stare at his toes and spat out. Ignore him. Don't listen to what he said about sections. Wu Guang snorted. They just want to take a shortcut. They're obsessed. The spirit generals that they had created had huge side effects. Martial arts is the right path for us. That's right. Murder, arson, robbery, brawl. Of course, I won't do things like rape. Wu Guang's expression changed, and his chest thumped loudly. For example, this time, you offended the clan union. As long as you're willing to spend money, points will do. I can help you kill your way up to the clan union and guarantee that they won't dare to show their faces in Immortal Constellation Mountain again. It's not like we can't talk about business. Tang Tian touched his chin as though he was talking to himself. Too embarrassing. Jing Hao was expressionless, but his tone was full of helplessness and introduced to Tang Tian. This is my junior master Wu Guang. Don't mind him too much. With that, he flipped his palm, and 4 cards flew towards the 4 of them. Jing Hao continued coldly. It's just a small matter. Wu Guang was unhappy. Little Jing Hao, what do you mean don't mind me too much? Is this how you introduce your junior master Wu? His tone changed and became very familiar. Young man Tang, wait till we get to know each other. You'll know that I'm a reliable person. If there's any business in the future, remember to introduce me. Tang Tian was dumbfounded. This works? But now, it seemed that there was no hope. The soft cards seemed to be held by an invisible hand as it flew in front of the 4 of them. In front of these 2 shocking attacks, all of House Yu's will to resist vanished like smoke in thin air. Other than the sporadic sounds of fighting, the rest of the Yu family members all accepted their fate with a blank face. Where did this guy come from? That's right, Jing Hao said solemnly. They have to first use their own martial spirit imprints to create spirit cards, to form spirit generals, and then use the devouring technique to continuously devour and fuse with other spirit generals. But in this way, it looks like the spirit general's strength has increased by leaps and bounds, but the spirit general's martial spirit is already extremely heterogeneous, and there will be endless trouble in the future. Jing Hao acted as if he didn't see it and continued coldly. There are many idol experts in the association. Wu Guang flew into a rage. Little Jing Hao, don't think that your wings have hardened just because you've grown up. Let me tell you, when you were young, I bought candy for you to eat. It's a recently rising power. Wu Guang said with a face of disdain. This bunch of people don't follow the right path and don't train their martial techniques properly. They blindly want to take shortcuts and make themselves neither human nor ghost. It's not just that. Wu Guang shook his head. This spirit general is born from his martial spirit imprint. In order to control the spirit general, they will have a closer connection with the spirit general. When these spirit generals become heterogeneous, they will devour their master. It's been a long time since I've completed a business. If this goes on, I'll die of poverty. Kong Yu smiled slightly. It's just a small matter, not worth mentioning. Master Wu is too polite. The blade is already rusted. You didn't pull out the blade just now. Don't think I didn't see it. Jing Hao is calm as usual. Tang Tian asked straightforwardly. I want them to not enter Immortal Constellation Mountain. Tang Tian did not care about anything else. He immediately ran to Han Bingning and the rest to check. Jun Akiko and the rest were already pale. They were rejoicing in their hearts. Thinking about it, if Tang Tian had released his spirit general just now, the plaza would have become a river of blood, and no one would have survived. Jing Hao looked at Tang Tian's expression. He smiled. They can be considered to have created a new sect. Other than the Spirit General sect, there's also the Star Treasure sect and Blood Meridian sect. Our honorable martial alliance is the Star Treasure sect. We are more proficient in displaying the power of star treasures. An onyx soul is more proficient in developing the power of blood meridians. These are the two biggest sections. Other than that, there's also the ancient sect. They're obsessed with ancient mechanical techniques and are trying to revive them. There are many of them. In this world, there are all sorts of strange sections. Fortunately, they were only lightly injured and did not have any major problems. Tang Tian finally understood. He nodded his head. Jing Hao was right. The purer the martial spirit, the stronger it was. He had experienced this firsthand. She cautiously maintained a distance. Wu Guang's blade just now had allowed her to witness the power of the Heaven Shower Blade. She knew she was no match for him. And this guy was famous for being unreasonable. Wu Guang was like a deflated ball. As expected, he could not be entangled with this asshole. Luckily, Kong Yu's expression changed. Shanghai Qian's face was also full of shock. But more than that, he was happy. He could not help but lament. The young Master Tian had also experienced many things that no one knew about. The barefooted, burly man was enlightened. He slapped his head. Poof! Countless dust flew out from his hair like smoke. Wu Guang was immediately discouraged. He pleaded, 800 points. Fixed price. For an expert like me, the appearance fee is too low. It would be too shameful if others knew about it. Spirit generals can be merged? Tang Tian was even more curious. He had heard many things that he had never heard of before. Jing Hao saw Tang Tian's blank face. He knew that Tang Tian did not know anything about the outside world. He explained, the clan union is a clan union. They have always been researching on spirit generals merging. From the looks of it, they have succeeded. Wu Guang waved his hand. He changed the topic. He looked at Tang Tian passionately. How is it? How is it? Do you want a business deal? Don't worry. I have my reputation. If you don't believe me, you can ask little Jing Hao. Kong Yu gave him face. Wu Guang was happy. He showed off to Jing Hao. Is it Senior Ghost Claw Gnome? The barefooted, burly man asked. He had a stubble on his beard. His hair was unkempt, but he had a heroic aura. Everyone has 10 points. Take it as a small gift from me. Kong Yu had completely recovered. She did not look unnatural at all. Huh? The barefooted, burly man laughed. Little Jing Hao, I haven't seen you for a few years. You've grown so big. Tang Tian nodded. Yes. He suddenly shouted, Minister Kong, please come out for a chat. 1,000 points. Wu Guang was elated. He patted his chest. As long as you give me 1,000 points, I guarantee that the clan union will not dare to step into Immortal Constellation Mountain. Wu Guang was about to pounce towards Jing Hao while howling. When Tang Tian suddenly extended out a finger, he immediately stopped and turned his body to look at Tang Tian's finger with a look of longing. Although the four of them were at a disadvantage just now, and were not as eye-catching as Tang Tian, she could still see that the four of them had a bright future ahead of them, and she had wanted to use the four of them to pull Tang Tian over. I'll give you 1,500 points. Tang Tian shook his head. But you have to get rid of all future troubles. Wu Guang was stunned. He was overjoyed. His face was full of killing intent. Good. I will sweep Immortal Constellation Mountain and all the nearby clan union bases. I won't even let a rat go. Business? Tang Tian was stunned. Jing Hao's face quickly returned to normal. Why does Brother Tang want to find you? Are you stronger than Senior Ghost Claw? Senior Ghost Claw created the Fire Scythe Ghost Claw. What did you create? Little Jing Hao, although I watched you grow up, you've ruined my business. That means you're my enemy. Wu Guang's eyes flashed fiercely. Don't force me to draw my blade. Wu Guang glared at him. Wu Guang turned and looked at Tang Tian. He patted his chest. This is a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. Ghost Claw was indifferent. It was as though he did not hear anything. A graceful figure flew out and landed on a roof not far away. Kong Yu, who was dressed in plain clothes, smiled and said, Heavenly Waterfall Blade Master Wu, how have you been? This is Brother Tang. He inherited Senior Ghost Claw Gnome's legacy. He's also one of us. Jing Hao decided to shift his gaze. That thing the last time was Brother Tang's contribution. At this moment, Jing Hao walked over. He bowed to the barefooted man. Little Master Uncle. Wu Guang's eyes twitched. He was filled with regret. Why did he remind this asshole before he brandished his blade? This kind of bastard should be chopped to death with a single slash. Even Wu Guang had to admit that he was inferior to Ghost Claw's claw. Tang Tian had such a strong helper. He did not need to do anything. Wu Guang was enraged. He pointed at Jing Hao. Little Jing Hao, is this how you treat your little master uncle? Wu Guang's eyes lit up. It was as though there were springs in his legs. He jumped to Tang Tian's side. Oh, young man, you're really handsome. You're a beautiful young man. Your perfect insight can practically see through anything in this world. Jing Hao stabbed him. I can do that. Jing Hao had a helpless look on his face as he stared at his own toes. Just ignore him. Department Head Kong. Olbu has something to ask of you. Wu Guang said. These few rascals belong to you. I wonder if Department Head Kong is willing to part with them? Jing Hao replied. But I can't see through your skin. Clan Union? It was Tang Tian's first time hearing the name. Yes. Jing Hao's face congealed. This has always been a taboo. A spirit general can fuse and devour other spirit generals to grow into a stronger spirit general. Ghost Claw's claw had shocked everyone. And the current him was like an ordinary old man, standing guard by Tang Tian's side, not revealing his mountains and not revealing his waters. The entire place was dead silent. To Tang Tian, 1,500 points was too cheap. Ghost Claw's comeback cost him 1,000 points, and he could only maintain it for 3 days. He could not take it anymore. Wu Guang's smile froze. You're Tang Tian. The barefooted man raised his voice. He was surprised. He sized Tang Tian up. He was satisfied. Your foundation is solid. You have a bright future. Everyone subconsciously took a few steps back. Be careful of the profiteers. Jing Hao's cold voice came out again. My friends want to join the faction, but they're Department Head Kong's subordinates. What should we do? Tang Tian turned to ask Wu Guang. Everyone's gaze towards Tang Tian immediately changed. Chapter 122. Then what exactly is a Heaven's Road grade martial artist? Tang Tian asked curiously. Cancel the mission. Jing Hao tilted his face and said to Tang Tian, he is not reliable. Heaven's Shower Blade Wu Guang. Heaven's Road grade martial artist. Tang Tian immediately retreated, but 8 bronze men appeared around him, coming from different directions, suddenly pouncing on him. Wu Guang pulled out the broken blade from his back and angrily pointed at Jing Hao. Little Jing Hao, you are such an unfilial disciple who disgraces Master Uncle's name. I will teach you a lesson on behalf of my senior brother. The more reliable information was that Tang Tian was an honorable martial alliance person, but there was no more information. No matter how one looked at it, Tang Tian did not look like an ordinary honorable martial alliance martial artist. It was rare to hear such first-hand information, so Tang Tian listened carefully. Wu Guang's experience in Heaven's Road was plentiful. Tang Tian roared. Welcoming the bronze fist, he punched out. Amauri and the other 3 followed Jing Hao back. Such an opportunity did not come by often. And Jing Hao thought the 4 of them were still weak at this time. Staying in the honorable martial group would allow them to grow faster. Tang Tian was as slippery as a fish, rushing into the bronze man's embrace. But with a swoosh, he drilled out from under the bronze man's ribs. In a moment, the Shangwan family's door was crowded with people. In Heaven's Road, the Starry Door is the most important node of the route. But very few people know that the Starry Door is not fixed, just that its cycle of change is very long. Most of them are thousands of years long. Many of the routes explored in the past, because of the changes of the Starry Door, will be cut off and gradually forgotten by people. They are like small islands in the middle of the ocean, rarely visited and developed their own civilization. In history, many constellations were annihilated because of this. The route was cut off. What was Tang Tian's background? Tang Tian trained while patiently waiting for Chie's return. How infuriating. Wu Guang was so angry that he was wailing and stamping with rage. However, it was not his turn to be complacent. Shwa, shwa, shwa. Several sword lights bloomed. The copper swords in the hands of the thin copper men were extremely fast. Dong, it looks like you're a very ambitious young man. Why? You want to roam Heaven's Road? Wu Guang had an experienced look on his face. The power of Tang Tian's punch had clearly improved compared to before. Wu Guang scratched his head. Well, let me think. How should I put it? Oh, there are many regions in Heaven's Road. For example, here at Immortal Constellation Mountain. It is a safe region, and the development here is very thorough. But in Heaven's Road, it was just a small corner. The constellations in the safe region all had a long history. Every constellation has many starry doors, and some of them lead to unknown regions. And I am the man who opened up the waterfall channel. And Tang Tian's spirit general, the skinny old man with such a stunning claw, he was definitely not a nobody. He is the heaven shower blade, Wu Guang. Just as he left, the palm on the copper man's body suddenly spat out true power. The copper man lost his balance and fell to the side. Every day, the training grounds are the most lively place. All the Shangwan disciples were training crazily there. The victory against the Yu clan had allowed the Shangwan clan to secure their position as the #1 aristocratic family of Immortal Constellation Mountain. Suddenly, a shadow fell from the top of his head. I must never offend Big Brother Jing Hao. Tang Tian was not distracted by this. He trained hard every day and did not relax at all. With him as an example, the other disciples naturally did not neglect him. Today, Tang Tian had established absolute authority in the Shangwan clan. Heaven Shower Blade Wu Guang, a genuine Heaven's Road grade martial artist. Before the Immortal Constellation Crown had declined, Immortal Constellation Mountain also had a few Heaven's Road grade martial artists. But now, there were none. The search for Heaven's Road has never stopped. Everyone is constantly searching for those annihilated constellations, looking for treasures, star rocks, spirit nuclei, advancing wave after wave. And the Heaven's Road grade martial artists are the best of the best. The so-called Heaven's Road grade martial artists refer to those strong martial artists who have the ability to open up new star gates. Just that they had just reunited and had to part ways. Everyone was reluctant. Oh my God, Heaven's Road grade martial artist. Oh, it's quite far. We have to pass through more than 20 abandoned planets. Oh, abandoned planets refer to those planets that have no value. These kinds of planets are the most common in Heaven's Road, and there are many of them. The environment of the abandoned planets are usually very bad. The most dangerous planet, the wind is like knives, and I can only crawl through the cracks in the ground. That godforsaken place, I don't want to go there a second time. But after grinding there for 5 months, my blade techniques have improved quite a bit. Very quickly, the Shangwan clan gradually regained its former tranquility. Wu Guang's tone was arrogant as he used his thumb to point at himself. Wu Guang was like a deflated ball. He leaned over and said, "What's the point? We're all family. It hurts our relationship. Young man Tang, you'll know in the future, Heaven's Road grade martial artists have a high appearance fee." Yes, I made an appointment with Chia to go to Heaven's Road together. Tang Tian did not hide anything and said calmly. The four of them did not have enough understanding of the points, so they did not mind. But Jing Hao was secretly surprised by Tang Tian's generosity. Sounds powerful. Tang Tian's eyes lit up when he heard. Waterfall waterway? Then where does it go? The other bronze figure that rushed over from the side could not react in time and immediately crashed into each other. But a ball of fish shadows had already rushed in front of Tang Tian. Dead silence. The shocked people suddenly remembered the name that Kong Yu mentioned and remembered the meaning behind the name. Chamber of the 18 bronze figures. Dust rose up and the ground trembled. Many people think that there are no people in those unknown regions, and that thinking is completely wrong. Humans have a long history of venturing into Heaven's Road, and in history, there were many strong martial artists that ventured deep into Heaven's Road. Some came back, some stayed there, and they reproduced there, and after tens of thousands of years, they developed a world that belongs to them. Is it because they were beaten like dogs by my master? Jing Hao's tone was calm, without any fluctuations. Tang Tian stared at Jing Hao and Wu Guang in shock. The image of Big Brother Jing Hao in his mind was completely overturned. The various powerhouses immediately understood one fact, and that was the current Shangwan family was definitely not someone they could provoke. So on the second day, the various patriarchs all came to apologize to their juniors for causing trouble the day before. Godlike young man, Wu Guang was stunned and then laughed out loud and did not hide his admiration. I like that name. A young man should have such lofty sentiments and ambitions. Oh, thinking back in the past, my biggest opponent was my senior brother. I trained hard day and night and worked hard, huh? Finally, bang! Tang Tian and Wu Guang chatted happily and seemed to have a deep friendship, which was seen by everyone, and Wu Guang even had a fawning expression, which made people even more shocked. Wu Guang did not stay for long and left Immortal Constellation Mountain and began to sweep the surrounding clan union strongholds. Jing Hao also had to leave. He was going back to his master. It was said that after Tang Tian presented the training spirit apparatus, they had substantial progress. This time, Jing Hao was going back to train his martial spirit. The 18 bronze men, one by one, stood up and turned to leave. On the ground, there was a human-shaped pit. This was the first time Tang Tian had seen a real, strong martial artist. His strength was so strong that even Kong Yu, who had already stepped into the 8th level, did not dare to go against him. The Shangwan family's atmosphere had changed. You guys are too shameless. Tang Tian's heart-wrenching howl reverberated in the chamber of the bronze man. The largest bronze man unknowingly appeared above his head and suddenly smashed down. Heaven showerblade. Tang Tian was scared out of his wits. Upon seeing that all directions were sealed, he clenched his teeth, bent his knees, and prepared to escape upwards. Wu Guang's tone was leisurely, fascinated. Beaten like a dog, Jing Hao suddenly interrupted. Wu Guang's last sentence could not help but be proud. Tang Tian raised his head. His face was pale. Is it very far? Tang Tian revealed a look of yearning. Everyone felt that it was very reasonable. This battle made a Maori and the rest truly realize their strength was too low. Even the clan union spirit generals were not their opponents. Systematic training was what they needed the most. And Jing Hao also guaranteed that they were in the base. He would take good care of them. Tang Tian blankly turned to ask Jing Hao, what is a Heaven's Road grade martial artist? Is it a martial artist who can go to Heaven's Road? Wu Guang's killing intent, as though it was real, shocked everyone present. It was just a bold statement, but the killing intent pierced through the air, causing everyone present to be indescribably shocked. Tang Tian did not refute. With Wu Guang's strength, he indeed had the qualifications to say that his strength was weak. But Wu Guang choked, as though he was choking, his face flushed red. After a moment, he regained his strength and angrily scolded. Today, I will help my senior brother take care of you. The heavy bronze man was hit by the fist and stopped moving. Tang Tian knew that big brother Jing Hao was a man of his words. Since he had made such a promise, he would definitely do it. Waterfall Planet. Wu Guang revealed a look of reminiscence. A very beautiful place on that planet. There are beautiful waterfalls everywhere. The locals are also very kind. A pity it is not a constellation and does not produce treasures. He clenched his fist tightly, without dodging, his eyes blazing with a fighting spirit. He opened his eyes wide and stared back without showing any weakness. Humph! Aren't you just a Heaven's Road grade martial artist? Just wait to be defeated by this godlike young man. Then you must definitely be careful. The strong martial artists and star spirit beasts on Heaven's Road are all very powerful. Your current strength is a little weak. Wu Guang smacked his lips. But Jing Hao's face was calm and serious as he nodded his head. That's right. So, Heaven's Road grade martial artist is nothing special. Tang Tian distributed the remaining points he had to the 4 of them. Only then did everyone realize in front of them was a very strong martial artist. Tang Tian shrunk his shoulder like lightning, who a thick and solid bronze arm brought with it a terrifying sound, narrowly brushing past. Tang Tian's hand grabbed onto the incoming bronze man's arm. Following the strength of the bronze man's arm, his body strangely swayed, crashing into the chest of the bronze man. Almost at the same time, at least 3 rays of energy brushed past his body. Chapter 123. The 3 big armies are all extremely strong. The Scorpio army and the Snake army are all ecliptic palaces constellations. They represent the strongest constellations. Their strength is not unexpected. But what about the Southern Cross army? The Southern Cross constellation is the smallest constellation, but it is extremely mysterious. Where did the mechanical techniques that they relied on to contend against come from? Who created this army? Where do they come from? The depths of the Southern Cross constellation. Being blurted out. Impossible, we have explored the depths of the Southern Cross constellation before. No, wait. They are simply 18 rotten ruffians. Bing frowned, revealing a look of deep thought. After a while, he shook his head. I don't know. The captain's background is very mysterious. Everyone has asked him, but he has never said anything. Tang Tian clenched his teeth. He was tortured by these people every day. He did not dare to imagine that the recruits of the Southern Cross Army actually had to pass through the chamber of the 18 bronze figures. Those people were so pitiful. Tang Tian's smile disappeared. He frowned. Her study room? Bring me there. Tang Tian said without hesitation. To any family, such an improvement was considered a qualitative leap. Young Master Tian had unknowingly grown to a stage that shocked everyone. Where's the recruit camp? Isn't it in the Southern Cross constellation? Tang Tian asked Bing. Uncle, is it like that? Tang Tian raised his head and asked. These 2 rascals have improved quite a bit. Their favorite tactic was to rush forward together. Their favorite way of fighting was to gang up. Tang Tian muttered in his heart. She asked him to enter the study room. She must have left something there. With the number 11 bronze figure that was as skinny as a bamboo pole, he was simply a peerless swordsman. Using a sword? You should use 2 swords to be worthy of your number. Uncle Qian saw the improvement of the youths of the Shangwan family. In less than 2 months, the standards of these youths had increased by a level. Yes, the main force of the army is usually stationed in the Southern Cross constellation. That is the headquarters. They rarely go out. Bing nodded. There are branches everywhere. Yes. Bing shook his head, but it is not on the same planet as the headquarters. There are 4 planets in the Southern Cross constellation. The entire planet has been sealed by the gray fog of time. Qian knew that she wasn't very smart, so she definitely wouldn't hide things very well. At that time, everyone thought that the guild leader was acting weird, but since he was the biggest, if he wanted to build it, then let him. Could it be that there are some secrets hidden there? Bing muttered to himself. The fuming Tang Tian returned to the martial arts practice field. He looked around with an unfriendly expression. The surrounding air pressure and temperature suddenly dropped. Fortunately, Chie was smart. Big 9 was bronze man number 9. The thing that made people feel despair the most was that it was as huge as a small mountain. Even Tang Tian, who had outstanding arm strength, wanted to overturn was an extremely difficult task. What was worse was that it loved to jump high up in the sky and then sit down. Could it be that the Southern Cross constellation really has some secrets? Tang Tian asked curiously. Bing's expression became weird. There's a small base there, built by the captain. Wretched, shameless, sinister. Big Brother Tian, the origin of your Southern Cross hardship plate is not simple. After the era of the 3 great armies, the Southern Cross constellation star treasure has never appeared again. If the Southern Cross army treated the Southern Cross constellation as their base, then the Southern Cross hardship plate must be one of their most important treasures. It is extremely possible that it is the key to the Southern Cross army. After the Southern Cross army was annihilated, the wealth and inheritance of the Southern Cross army completely disappeared and is still a mystery to this day. In the midst of Bing's complacent chatter, Tang Tian's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Without saying a word, he swung his arms and moved forward. You bunch of ruffians, just you wait. I will definitely break all of you into scrap metal. Tang Tian continued to read. Then take the sea route. Tang Tian said resolutely. Yes. What made Tang Tian grit his teeth the most was that the 18 bronze men did not have the slightest awareness of being experts. Their components definitely did not have the noble quality of duels, and definitely did not have the temperament of arrogance. Just now, Tang Tian had suffered a solid hit. "Uncle Qian, you were looking for me?" Tang Tian jumped onto the balcony. This balcony was the highest point of the Shangwan family, and could overlook the entire Shangwan family. He waved his hand. "Uncle Qian, don't be so courteous." Finally, in an ancient book, I found some useful clues. The Southern Cross constellation once gave birth to a strong army called the Southern Cross Army. During the three-generation army era, the Scorpio Army and the Snake Army were the three strongest forces. In the final battle, the Scorpio Army won, and thus created the Scorpio dynasty. However, the surprising thing was after the Southern Cross Army was defeated, the Southern Cross constellation quietly disappeared from everyone's sight. In the next few thousand years, no one could find any information related to the Southern Cross constellation. Walking to the bookshelf, Tang Tian indeed found a letter that Chia left for him. Uncle Qin nodded, and his expression became solemn. When Miss left, she said that if she did not return in 2 months, she would bring you to her study room. There were many hands, many arms, and many weapons in the 4th, 5th, and 6th bronze men group. How could they provoke such triplets? Tang Tian continued to read. Bing shook his head. "I don't know." Tang Tian did not think much of it. If Uncle Qin knew that this amount of training was only a portion of his training, would he be scared? This place, it's so stressful. Shangwan Wei and Shangwan Zhu, these two rascals immediately shivered and became 120% alert, and even their shouts became louder. But it was a pity their performance did not allow them to escape this calamity. This question piqued my curiosity until I found the commander of this army, Ming. The higher-ups of the Southern Cross Army are very strong and gathered a large number of outstanding talents. And Meng Yi is one of the strongest, but his background is different from the others. Meng Yi's background is unknown. Seeing this, Tang Tian asked Bing without hesitation, "Hey, uncle, do you know the background of your commander?" Both of their faces immediately turned ashen. Tang Tian looked at Chia's graceful handwriting and was moved. He could imagine Chia, in order to help him find information on the Southern Cross hardship plate, spent a lot of effort. Tang Tian hurriedly asked, "Why? 18 rascals. Each of them can form a team, and there are still 7 substitutes. The Southern Cross Army must have an unknown mission. After my research on the army, I am even more certain of this point. Out of the 3 big armies, the Southern Cross Army lacks the ambition to expand. This is also very strange." Yes. Uncle Qian looked at the frowning Tang Tian and suddenly felt some pressure. "I suspect, Uncle, that there is a high possibility that you entered the Southern Cross constellation or have some connection with the Southern Cross Army. I found the opening time of the Oblivion Crack of the Southern Cross constellation, but you could not make it in time. Now that you have seen this letter, I am afraid that you have met with trouble. On the back of the letter, there is a map from the Immortal Constellation to the Southern Cross constellation. There are some places that are not accurate, Big Brother Tian. It can only be used as a reference. The establishment of the Southern Cross Army, this mysterious Captain Meng, he played an important role. I started to look for this mysterious captain's background, but the Southern Cross Army is too far away from us and left behind too few clues. Until one time, when an ancient book was describing this captain, it mentioned that he came from the depths of the Southern Cross constellation. The matter of Tang Tian possessing the Southern Cross constellation was only known to Chia. Tang Tian looked around, His gaze landed on a symbol on a bookshelf, and Tang Tian's eyes immediately lit up. Southern Cross constellation. "Young Master Tian, you have worked hard these few days." Tang Tian swallowed his saliva. To a simple-minded, lively, and hot-blooded young man, a place like a study was definitely a place that could easily be mocked. It was the first time Tang Tian entered Chia's study. Bing was not stupid. He had a deeper understanding of the captain, and once he thought about it, he recalled many past events. With the number 1 bronze figure who was proficient in close combat, How could the bronze head not be polished? How could it not be used to dazzle people's eyes after a while? The training grounds had 2 more pools of mud. Tang Tian then heaved a sigh of relief and left in satisfaction. And young Master Tian spent a lot of time every day to guide them. He had endured in the chamber of the 18 bronze figures for so long, but until now, he still had not found a way to pass. He had already lost count of the number of battles he had fought, but no matter what method he used, even if he could temporarily gain the upper hand, he would very quickly be drowned by the sea of bronze figures. The Southern Cross Army is most famous for their mechanical techniques. Even until today, they still represent the pinnacle of mechanical techniques in this world. Being defeated and annihilated in history, this is very common. The investigation here was interrupted, until one day, I suddenly found a very strange problem. Big Brother Tian, if you read this letter, it must be because I met with trouble in the Southern Cross constellation. These 2 years, I've been secretly investigating the information related to the Southern Cross hardship plate. The Southern Cross constellation has always been known as the smallest constellation discovered by humans. Other than that, there is almost no other information. Immortal constellation has been in decline for too long and is too far from the center of the world. There is very little valuable information. I can only place my hopes on some ancient records that talk about treasures and hope to find some clues. These few days, he had been cultivating with all his might and felt that he did not know the time. When Uncle Qian saw Tang Tian, he could not help but reveal a warm smile. Why is the Southern Cross Army annihilated, and this bastard still exists? Tang Tian's hard work was seen by Uncle Qian. Every day, Tang Tian would lead by example, appear in the training grounds, and train much more than the others. If not for the young Master Tian's stimulation, how would these fellows be so hard-working? Tang Tian and continued to read. Bing also floated out and came over to read. But, so cool. I know Big Brother Tian, you will definitely come and find me. But no matter what, you must be careful. Chia's study was very big, and in the middle, there was a desk, and it was slightly spacious. All 4 sides were bookshelves, sticking to the wall, and every bookshelf was filled with all sorts of books, many of which were yellowed and old, and looked very old. The letter ended here. Young man, don't be too sad. Big Nines, but has the reputation of a chrysanthemum pressing against the sea. This sentence means it presses against the chest, like the sea. So, you don't have to be too sad. I know this feeling is not good, but every young man who grows up to be a man needs to experience this kind of painful realization. I will do it again tomorrow. Oh, it's decided. The 2 of you come over. I want to see your improvement these 2 days. Tang Tian said with an unfriendly expression.